Still being live. You're live. Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 180. I see there's been a few changes with Google since we last used it in my system, so we'll see how it goes. I'll just cue in the intro music and just do some checks. The usual. Yeah, music. Hello, who's up there? It's probably going to take a few hours, this one. We'll see how we go. We've got plenty of material to cover anyway. Obviously, the time zone will be more suited to Europe and UK. I think America is now in the early morning. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes with time zones. If only the globe was flat. Hello, good to be back for another live stream. Just kill the intro. Switch screens. There we go. And just as we do that, Robert's got an error message. Yeah, so let's see. The music's still playing, isn't it? Are you there, Robert?
Yes, I'm here.
Already your live has killed the image. Happens every time, but the sound sounds alright. So do we worry about the image? I think I'll just reset it anyway. Hang on. We'll get it eventually, this program. I think it's to do with the bandwidth, you know. Pretty sure I clicked on it. Come on. That's end up with 2 copies probably. Got 2 copies. Yeah. Technical glitch. Here we go. Have we got Robert back? Are you there, Robert? We got Robert again. Looks like it's are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. It's dropping in and out.
Yeah, I just reset it. Can you say
okay?
Hello to everybody?
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
I don't think it's crackling, so we'll keep with that until it drops out again. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I better shrink the site. There we go. There's crazy things that keep happening. We're just talking about the government spying on us. And Robert reckons he couldn't hear me after I said the government spying on us. People might think we're joking, but, you know, that happens all the time. We get some strange stuff that seems to happen. So, going through the live streams a bit, we're up to 180 already. And it's about nuclear Air Force bases. Oh, that'll do. UFOs, encounters. Oh, that'll do. And Robert's got a link up for us already. So the first one will be on this.
Yeah, it's the Big Sur incident, Vandenberg, 1964. It's basically a missile test, and something interfered with the testing. a UFO, and it shot the dummy wired off.
All right. Now I just need to. Yeah, I'll just check in something there. So it's these guys here. The big Sur. What's the SUR mean? Big Sur. What's that mean? Do you know?
Just think it was a nickname for the area, you know.
Maybe you should Google it and find out. Copy link address.
I think it should be in the link.
Maybe. Oh, not that one. Oh, it's gone to YouTube. Is it a YouTube thing?
No,
No.
that's it.
I think, yeah, there's something crazy up top there. Does it tell us on here what slur is? I did find something on it here. This one here. Slur.
Yeah.
Slur. UFO. I keep thinking of slur. Every time I see
where that's come from.
Yeah, I know from the Dolan video, but
excuse me.
We got some images here. Is that made up? What's that one? We got some videos further down too.
Yeah, there's only one that you need to actually. It's the one right at the bottom, but this is quite a long article, but it's the best one I could find. It's very comprehensive.
I just want to find out what they reckon slur stands for. US region or something? No, USA. You reckon it's the area. Big slur. Spanish referred to the vast and relatively unexplored coastal region off the south of Monterey.
That's right, California. So you're in the right place.
Yeah.
You got to solve that.
Yep. Well, people might be wondering the same thing. It's a strange name, see. So where do you want to begin? Have the reader read out something?
Yes, please do. Yeah, well, I wake up a bit.
I'll just kick it in just to make sure it's working. Hello out there.
Bob
How's it going?
Jacobs.
Oh, looks like it's going to the wrong speaker. That's where we do a check. Yes, it'll be too low. Looks like it's working though. So far it's got that capital W. Hey yo, it won't say the W. Haven't selected too much by any chance, have I?
The incident in question took place early one September morning in 1964. It wouldn't really come to light in the public arena until a quarter of a century later in 1989, following an article in that year's January edition of the Month on UFO Journal by Bob Jacobs. Titled Deliberate Deception, the Big Shore UFO filming, the article not only examined the bizarre events that would unfold that morning and captured on video camera, no less, but would also use Jacobs' direct involvement with the Atlas missile experimental launches, one of which would result in an intelligently controlled flying device would fire a beam of energy towards such a recently launched test missile, disabling and destroying it.
Okay. So where do we go from here? So this was the one that guy with the white beard talked about that was on various documentaries, right? I can't think of his name.
It's Bob Jacobs.
All right. And of course they had video footage, but they suppressed what was on it.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't we love to see that footage?
Know where that is.
Yeah, that's one of the best footages ever, probably. So we carry on reading underneath. So this is obviously meant to be the UFO coming up to it. Obviously taking a screen snap of a TV show, is it? So the rocket's going up, and the UFO comes along, fires a beam, and does something to the rocket, doesn't it?
And all of this is happening when that thing's doing like 12,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, and they do motor a bit.
I think it was like 30 miles at a Pino.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a special camera so they could film the whole thing.
Yeah. Didn't think they had that technology back then.
Well, they probably would have had like regular film, and it would have had some serious lenses on it, or telephotos anyway.
Oh, yeah.
What's more, Jacobs was of the opinion that the device was highly advanced and most likely of extraterrestrial origin. Further still, according to his experience, high-ranking and shadow members of the United States government were, quite possibly, in contact with such extraterrestrial entities. Perhaps even stranger is Jacobs' feeling that this demonstration had been a purposeful display by these alien forces, although the reasons for this remain a mystery. Was this apparent example of advanced technology issued in a threatening manner? Or might it be, if we accept for one moment the claims of deals with such alien races involving such technology, more akin to an arms dealer putting on a public display before entering into the bidding process? While such claims are bordering on preposterous for some, they continue to come from one-time members of such circles, who, far from exploiting their former positions for monetary gain, make themselves intentional targets of ridicule. Or worse.
Okay, so what do we got here? Contents. Yeah. It goes on a fair bit then, doesn't it?
I'm afraid so, yeah. It's a long article.
Okay. Well, we might as well just carry on with the reader then, a wee bit. A reminder, which, unless you want to skip bits at all, do let us know.
Okay.
I don't know too much about the case.
The Big Shore UFO film incident, a case study first published May the 12th, 2019, last updated May the 27th, 2019, written by Marcus Loth. Estimated reading time 14 minutes. Posted in editorials. While the incident in question took place early one September morning in 1964, it wouldn't really come to light in the public arena until a quarter of a century later in 1989, following an article in that year's January.
That normally stops at reading.
A reminder of UFO interest in nuclear facilities. Such missile experiments have been taking place for some time at Vandenberg Air Force Base near Lompoc in California. And it is perhaps these tests on experimental nuclear devices that make the UFO sightings even more intriguing than they already are. We have, for example, written on several occasions of the apparent interest these UFOs, or more specifically the intelligence behind them, have in military nuclear facilities, not only in the United States but around the world.
Yeah, we don't have that problem. We don't have that problem in New Zealand because we don't have nuclear bases or nuclear power station. We're all hydro dams here and some hydrothermal and let's see. I'm not sure if there's coal backup. There might be some coal, but we don't use it. I think the other one.
To me, I didn't know that.
I think the other one is natural gas generators, because we've got a lot of natural gas here. Yeah, so that's why UFOs leave us mostly alone, because we haven't got the nuclear thing, I reckon, anyway. But we'll see.
We have examined such cases as the Woomera incident in Australia in July 1960, for example, or the incidents at the Minot and Malstron Air Force bases in 1966 and 1967 respectively. Perhaps one of the most prominent such sightings took place over Endlesham Forest just after Christmas 1980. Although they wouldn't admit it, there would appear to be genuine reason to suspect that nuclear weapons were stored on the base. With that in mind, then, let's turn our attention back to Santa Barbara County in the late summer of 1964 and the Vandenberg military facility. Before we move on to look at the incident of September 1964, check out the video below. It looks at the apparent connection between nuclear facilities and UFO sightings and encounters.
Okay.
Yeah, no need to play that video, Paul.
No. After dawn. Carry on.
But we're beginning to see already now that these nuclear sites, quite often haunted by UFOs, there's obviously some kind of correlation there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, in my humble opinion.
Yep. So it doesn't mean it's interdimensional coming in to have a see what's going on. because it makes sense.
Possibly.
I always thought about nuclear blasts is obviously going to release a lot of exotic particles that we still yet to understand. And if it goes into a multiverse or parallel world, so to speak, then it may be causing destruction on the other side. It's a bit like, I don't know if you've ever seen a series on TV, sci-fi, called The Fringe. It's quite good. It's talking about the multi-universe. Of course, it turns out the scientist figured it out, and he went across and stole the son off the other parents because his one died.
Okay.
Yeah, haven't you never seen it? It's quite good. It goes on for a few seasons, actually.
Doesn't ring a bell at all, that.
The Fringe, yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
So we'll just carry on here. But yeah, this one's always a good topic one, the nuclear bases and all that. Well, hopefully I've got it selected properly here. It looks like it.
Just after dawn, the 22nd of September 1964, the provocation of a government cover-up. On the morning of the 22nd of September 1964, Robert Jacobs prepared to oversee a test launch of an Atlas missile. It was perfect conditions for viewing any aerial object in the sky. While it was still dark on the ground, objects at a certain altitude in the sky above would catch the rising sunlight and glow magnificently against the still dark background. And what's more, this is the case for objects hundreds of miles away. These conditions were very much present on this morning, and further still, only if viewed from one spot Big Shore, to the north and west of Vandenberg. The brief that Jacobs and his team were working to was to get side-on shots of the missile launch and more specifically its climb and stages of flight. Specifically, Jacobs would state that their mission statement, in part, was...
Okay, so I just realised I was going to talk about notifications. So we're going to talk at the end of this one now. I was going to give a demo on notifications just to check it. Yeah.
I was supposed to remind you too.
I knew I'd forget. But that's all right. That's all right. We do it as an in-between break thing, so people can have a look and understand what's happened there. So he made this statement. Provide information on the minute events following propellant depletion at a distance of from 300 to 800 nuclear miles.
Nautical,
yeah. In fact, so serious was the desire to capture such fine and detailed imagery that the Boston University telescope was literally hauled into a truck and transplanted to a very specific spot at the Big Sur. So that's the quality of the pictures we had back in '64. I suppose it was cutting edge back then, though.
Yeah.
Apparently, the film, though, the 8mm and 16mm has actually got the pixels on there. A lot of it didn't have colour, of course, but it had the pixels there, so you can get 4K. You can actually get better than 4K even on the old film back from those days. So if you scanned it in now, you can get up over 4K. I think it's more like 6K or something like that. But I have covered that in the past episodes. Incidentally, we should note that Jacobs was unsure of the exact date, but subsequent research suggests that 22nd September is accurate. Whether the date, the events that would follow were real, very real. And what's more, according to Jacobs, would inspire an official government cover-up and provoke
an investigation and search for the filmed record, yeah. And the search still continues.
Unfortunately, I only got one eye and it's a wee bit blurry at the moment. Jacobs, so have we got a picture of Jacobs that we're talking about here?
Well, we're playing an interview with him later, so...
Right. well, I was just going to bring out a quick image so people can see who we're talking about. What was his name? Jacobs? Something Jacobs?
Bob Jacobs. Or Robert Jacobs, yeah.
Let's see. He's got to be one of the most popular guys around. David Jacobs? Robert Jacobs. Ufology. No. That's the guy. Come up straight away.
Yeah, then. Yeah.
That's the one. Looks like Santa Claus.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so back to that one. So we're going to just read out the next bit, I guess. We've got 20 minutes use of it.
Missile and anti-missile technology against the backdrop of the Cold War. The small team gathered at a safe distance, ready to watch the events they were about to record on the monitors. The launches themselves were part of the NUKES project, which looked to develop anti-missile technology, at least officially. Against the ever-present threat in the Cold War, such experiments and projects would face very little questioning. The team could hear the mechanical light countdown for the launch of the Atlas missile. Then...
Okay, so they still use Atlas missiles today.
Do they?
I think so.
I thought they'd replaced them with the Minuteman missiles, you know.
I don't know if they replaced them all. Let's have a look.
Mm-hmm.
Atlas missile. It doesn't give us a year number. Are they still active missile sellers? Here we go. Today there are popular houses and sites for urban exploration. Today they are still used, although many have been decommissioned. So there's still a few about. It's called... is it that? I think that's the space rocket though, isn't it? Oh, hang on. SM-65E. Operational variant of the Atlas missile. Okay, they got variants of it. Was deployed. So there we go. Yeah, I wouldn't mind the nuclear silo house, wouldn't you? That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
So ignition liftoff. Okay. Looks like this is some big camera coming up, is it? Is that the camera? What's that there? In the background.
Yeah, that's got to be it.
It's on a big truck there of some sort.
God, it's a monster.
Yeah, that's a real big one. Or does it say Slayton? Okay. So which one's Jacobs then? Because he would look different.
I'm thinking
that guy there,
I
maybe?
think that could be Mansman there to the right. Florence Mansman, I think.
Man, that's a big camera. But anyway, we'll get to read out some more.
And with that, a blast of flames and smoke burst out from under the missile before it began its steady ascent. All eyes, including that of the Boston University telescope camera, focused on the commotion. And what's more, as was perfectly obvious to Jacobs and the team, as the missile travelled in excess of 100 nautical miles, the conditions and the focus of the shot could not have been more clean.
So there wasn't much there to read, was there? Okay.
No.
Oh, I've got an itchy nose.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm alright. I think I might need to get my pillows adjusted though. They seem to have moved again.
The Big Shore UFO film incident, a case study first published May the 12th, 2019, last updated May the 27th, 2019, written by Marcus Loth. Estimated reading time 14 minutes. Posted in editorials while the incident in question took place early In fact, it was perfectly obvious that they had achieved their objective to the letter. As they shook hands, offering and accepting congratulations from each other, the 35mm film continued to film. Jacobs would take this film with him in the 2 metal cans to the processing laboratory back at the base. He would process the film immediately so it would be ready for his superiors to view the following day. However, before he could bask in the sense of achievement that was quietly building inside of him, he would receive a phone call at his desk.
Shame we didn't take a copy of it.
Oh, yeah.
All the segment. Looks like we've lost your camera again, finally.
Oh, never mind.
He'll probably come right again, who knows. The movie projector and the men in the grey suits. Okay, so we read out that bit. Hopefully we got it selected right this time.
The movie projector and the men in plain grey suits on the other end of the line was Major Mansman. He would order Jacobs to the headquarters building, where his office was immediately. Upon arriving there, Jacobs noticed 2 strange men waiting with Mansman. He also noticed a movie projector, very purposely set up for this meeting, in the middle of the room. Each of the men donned plain, grey suits, and although they said little, their presence was almost palpable. Within seconds of the office door closing, the lights dimmed, and the projector was clicked into action.
Uh-oh.
What's up?
No, nothing. It's just getting spooky at this bit.
Yeah, where do we get down to? Below that one.
There we go.
Go on, select this.
On the wall from the light of the projector, the footage they filmed from Big Shore played. Despite the bizarre nature of the events unfolding, Jacobs remembers feeling a further sense of achievement at how clear the footage was. He continued to watch the footage. When it neared the end, however, Mansman would tell him to watch carefully now. He did, and immediately saw what the men were drawing his attention to. He would state,
Okay. What did he say?
Another object flew into the frame, from left to right. It approached the warhead package and maneuvered around it. That is, this thing flew a relative polar orbit around our warhead package, which was itself heading toward the South Pacific at some 18,000 miles an hour.
So that object, to do a delicate maneuver to fly around the nose cone, is beyond our technology anyway.
Even now.
Oh yeah, even now. So yeah, that's the footage that To the Stars needs to get hold of and release, and that would be like the big news of the century for sure.
Yeah.
None of this.
That's as Sisypheus like.
Yeah, that would be what we're after. There's also some other footage apparently where they talked about it on UFO Cover It Live in 1988, which I talk about in another video, and they claimed it was a fabricated training exercise where this UFO come down, landed on the runway, and then the door opened up and these alien beings stepped out. And then and then they went back up inside and it flew off again.
Where was that again now?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember, but
forgotten myself.
Yeah, it's amazing. Did I read out that bit? I forgot now. I haven't read it out.
No.
Then, an already bizarre incident took an even more bizarre twist. At approximately the 4 compass points of its orbit, this strange object emitted 4 distinct flashes towards the missile. In fact, the flashes, Jacobs would argue, must have had sufficient power and intensity, as the flashes were clearly visible, almost like a strike, which caused a halo to briefly form.
So we had someone drop by and took off again. They left a like anyway. They'll probably watch it later. They'll watch it later.
Yep.
A classic flying saucer. That's what I want to see. The old classics. You can't beat it.
Mm-hmm.
A classic flying saucer that shot down an American dummy warhead. Furthermore, as the object departed the frame back in the direction it entered it, Jacobs could see it was a classic flying saucer with a clear dome in the middle of the top part, from which the beams of light had emerged. However, the missile itself, or more specifically, the warhead, tumbled out of suborbit, falling to the ground. He immediately understood the gravity of the situation, as he would later state.
The gravity, I like that word in that sentence. This unidentified flying thing had apparently shot down an American dummy atomic warhead. Well, how did it know that? It didn't know it was a dummy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hopefully it's selected alright.
Jacobs would later attest his belief that the technology on display was obviously highly advanced. However, in the room, the lights would suddenly come on and Mansman would inquire whether he or any of his team were fooling around up there at Big Shore. When he responded that this certainly wasn't the case, Mansman would ask, "Then what the hell was that?" It was then that Jacobs, perhaps without thinking, replied as a matter of fact.
Oh. It looks to me like you got a UFO.
Yep.
Which they now call UAPs.
Mm-hmm. Just the rebranding of the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, they reckon it's so they can come out and say we now know UAPs exist and forget about all the UFOs. Yeah. maybe.
All the stuff you've lied to us about.
Yeah. It's new, it's not old, it's all new stuff.
The silence that would follow his statement was almost deafening in itself. Both of the mystery men continued to stare at Jacobs without saying a word. He noticed Mansman looking at the men also. Then he turned his attention back to Jacobs, stating,
"So that again, why would a UFO tamper with a rocket being launched?"
Maybe they thought it was a genuine attack.
Well, they probably thought they can't risk it causing damage in their own dimension, maybe.
Neighborhood, yeah.
Yes. Well, it might even send a pulse right through the universe, at the energy level side of things. And it may cause...
Untold damage.
Yeah, well, it's like the butterfly effect, where the butterfly flaps its wings in South America but causes a tornado in America scenario.
Mm-hmm.
There was some fairly good movies about that sci-fi, wasn't it? There was a sci-fi called The Butterfly Effect, which was quite good.
There was. And the film.
Yeah. But there's another one that I liked that had Nicolas Cage in called the Next. It was just called Next. I kind of like that one too, where he could predict what the next future events were and was trying to get around it.
I remember that vaguely.
Yeah, vaguely. I'm going to have to watch it again myself now. It's so long ago since I've seen it, but it was a good movie. Hopefully I got it all selected right.
Jacobs flipped his attention back to the two men for a moment, perhaps hoping against hope that the whole situation was some kind of bizarre joke. Their rigid, serious manner told him it wasn't. The most fantastic event of my life that did not take place. Jacobs wasn't sure how long he sat there staring into space. It could have been a few minutes. It was most likely only a few seconds as he relayed everything that had happened over the last 24 hours to this very surreal moment now. He couldn't escape the feeling that what was the most fantastic event of his life was something he was being asked to not only keep secret, but to deny altogether.
Okay, so is that Jacobs? What's that say there?
That's Mansman. That's Jacobs' boss.
Oh, right. I'd say he looks a lot different there if it was the same guy, but anyway. So we got down to... whereabouts to get to now? I'll scroll down. We got to the end of that, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did get to the end of that.
Secret, but to deny it altogether. Was it? Did we get down to that there?
Yep, I think so.
That's fantastic. I think so, yeah. Okay, on to the next bit then.
Then, Mansman's voice would bring back to his senses, reminding him that he didn't need to remind him of the seriousness of a security breach. Jacobs agreed, indicating he would acquiesce to their request. As Mansman walked Jacobs out of his office, he would state to him,
Okay. What you just saw did not take place. It never happened. How many times have we heard that? Okay, so here, I suppose he had to sign a non-disclosure, right?
No, he never.
Oh. Because I'm just wondering that he
Hence
spoke.
he talked about it.
Yeah, he talked about it, so I wonder why he wasn't arrested, you know?
Yeah, true. Got a lot of hassle up.
From the
As we'll find
military. Oh, okay.
Oh, yes. Or whoever.
Before Jacobs could agree, Mansman would offer a final piece of advice. That if he were ever to be questioned to the point where he could not get out of answering, he was to them the flashes were from laser tracking. And with that, Jacobs was helped out of the room and the door shut behind him. What is interesting here, as Jacobs himself would state, such technology as laser tracking didn't exist in the early 1960s. At least not publicly anyway. Jacobs would remain silent for a considerable amount of time following the incident that September morning in 1964. He would, though, begin researching the subject of UFOs and similar sightings privately. And at the heart of this research was the frustration that some figures in the powers that be wished to obfuscate the whole field of discovery.
I don't think it said that word properly.
Obfuscate, yes.
You did?
Confuse the issue.
So it sounded like it said it right to me. And before we move on...
It doesn't sometimes, Paul.
Yeah. Check out the video below. There's an animated reproduction of the incident based on the descriptions.
We can have a look at that.
Okay, mate, is it safe though? Doesn't seem to say if it's YouTube. Oh yeah, it is. Just slow it down.
At this stage, the rocket was traveling between 11 and 14,000 miles per hour.
Okay, it sounds like
when
it's
a
on a TV show.
saucer-shaped...
Yeah.
It's off a TV show, I think. Okay, we'll just put captions on.
The rocket was traveling between 11 and 14,000 miles per hour when a saucer-shaped craft entered the frame.
It flew into the frame like this, and it shot a beam of light at the warhead. Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. And the warhead tumbles out of space. Now when the lights came on, Major Mansman turned around and looked at me and said, "Were you guys screwing around up there?" I said, "No, sir." And he said, "What was that?" And I said, "It looks to me like we got a UFO."
Okay, so I think that might have been from that series Out of the Blue that James Fox did.
Ah, yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, I think it might be a clip from that. So we'll just read out the next bit, I guess.
Yeah, just 2 seconds, Paul.
Tentative and discreet leaks of information. Not that Jacobs was critical of the United States government only. He would also fire accusations against the press as a whole for failing to pick up and investigate the Big Shore incident, as well as several others, choosing instead to focus on the bizarre with over-sensationalist headlines and angles. We should note here that there are many researchers who see this approach from the media, particularly in America, as an intentional way of discrediting the UFO question in general.
I think Robert has gone. So I'll just reset the camera just in case. Don't you wait till he comes back. There we go. Got video feedback again, hopefully. I'll wait till he gets back. Yes. Just as he comes back, the video thing goes. That's very interesting because I think he's just on Wi-Fi, and I think as he moves around, I think it might be a Wi-Fi problem why we lose your signal there, Robert. Because I had reset it, and just as you were coming back and got near the antenna, it dropped off. Are you there? I better restart it. I think it was just coming in here. Let's see if we can get him back. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, we got you again. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you heard me, but I did reset it while you were at the toilet, and it was working fine.
Okay.
And just as you got close to the laptop, it lost signal. Like your body was interfering with the signal to the laptop. I still think you need to get I still think you need to get a cable that might solve that problem. But a UTP Cat 5, it's already dropped out. Again.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just check your volume. Hello, Robert.
Hello.
It still sounds good here. Okay. I
Okay.
thought we could fix it, but it looks like it's dropped out again. Something's screwy going on. So we just read out this bit here, and then we'll read out the next bit.
Yeah, it's good.
It was around 1973 when Jacobs began to discreetly let knowledge of the incident leak out into the public awareness. While hosting a late-night radio talk show on KFML-FM in Eureka, California, he would speak of the encounter at the Vandenberg military base. However, rather than it be of interest to few and far between listeners, the response was almost as astonishing as the event itself. Several people, including his own program director, would tell of their own encounters on air. Even a physics professor at California State University would speak of his firm belief that alien intelligence was behind the waves of UFO sightings across the United States and around the world. What was common about the many people eager to tell their stories was of how they led such normal lives otherwise, with a great many in positions that might open them to ridicule following their public declarations. By 1982, 6.5 years before the 1989 MUFON article that would truly bring his account before the entire world, Jacobs was seeking a larger audience than the nighttime listeners in the California region.
Okay. Did he make any money from it then, in that case?
No, none at all. Not to my knowledge.
But MUFON would have profited from it, though. So they would have him up at the symposium.
And Stephen Greer.
And Stephen Greer. Oh dear. UFO intercepts Atlas rocket. So we don't need to play that one again.
No, we don't.
Or it'll probably be him talking about it, probably. Graphic analysis.
No, I think you can safely miss that one, Paul.
Alright. You got your headset on still?
Yes.
Yeah. thought it was getting a bit louder. Maybe I've hit the knob again. Okay, so next one. And we've got a map coming up. I actually did do a map.
Yeah, that's why I used this website, because it just covers it all, you know.
Yeah. So I did a map here, but I'll bring it up when we get up to the bit in a minute.
An overall big, but hidden in plain sight picture by this time, with Ronald Reagan himself a big and open believer in UFOs with 2 encounters of his own, was 2 years into his first of what would be 2 terms in the White House. More. By the time the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, better known by its moniker, the Star Wars program, Jacobs, like many other researchers, had noticed much of the technology creeping into the public awareness seemingly had its roots in black budget and even reverse-engineered alien technologies.
Yeah, I thought Reagan was actually going to be the one to disclose UFOs at one stage.
I think he almost did, in a way.
Well, he did the UFO speech about the world coming together. So
yeah, that's right.
They must have known about the alien abductions and evil aliens. So just read out that little bit here. I think I missed it.
Indeed, we have written before of the apparent lab shop notebook to this technology, a result of the Roswell crash of 1947, and how it was farmed out to various businesses across the United States, many of whom had little or no knowledge of its origins, and asked to study and develop it.
Okay, so here's the location. What's all these percentages on here? What's it quite see here? So they've got the Atlas launch site down here. Vandenberg Air Force Base. And what's this one up here?
I know the missile was aimed at the Bikini Islands.
I can't see that on the map though, can we?
No, it's in the Pacific. That's all I know.
What's that one say there though? I think it might say that there, is it? Nope. But we got the map, as I said. So it's going up here.
Excellent.
So it's right on the coast. Kind of strange place to put an Air Force base right on the coast though, isn't it? Because if you got invaded by the sea, that would be easy to take over, wouldn't it?
They've got a good navy though, haven't they?
Oh, you hope so.
Yeah.
It's quite hilly there, isn't it? Well, mountainous, I should say. You can see there how in the past this was formed by massive earthquakes. All that coastline there.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very rocky location. Okay, so... And we got the Channel Islands. What did you say it was aimed at?
Bikini Islands.
Not the same ones.
They're
Catalina
atolls,
Islands.
aren't they? Volcanic islands.
Yeah, I thought they might have aimed it at their own island down here, so they can have cameras on it. Or recover it, or whatever. But you can see here, look at all the fault lines on the coastline going out to sea around. So you're expecting a big quake there at some stage, you know. But yeah, we could probably close that one down now. Unless we want to do references. But we'll just close it down. I've got that itch in the throat, unfortunately. We're still trying to get rid of that virus thing that's going around. That's terrible, I tell you.
That's the wrong ethos. That's Malstron. You had that there.
Oh no, that's for the next one. I've just closed the tab so it showed the other tab. I was closing down temporarily. We've got someone else extra watching out there. How's it going? I thought maybe Dell was going to join us from UK. He said he was. Maybe he thought it was about now when it starts. Okay, so I did say noon. What's the time over there at the moment? It's lunch.
I think we started a bit earlier today, you know.
No. What's the time over there now?
Just gone 1 o'clock.
Yeah, we started at way after 12 o'clock though, after lunch. I said we'd be starting at lunchtime. I think we're about 10 minutes or 15 minutes behind, weren't we?
Okay.
Yeah. So how long have we been going now? 15 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes past 12 we started. Here we go. Next bit.
It was also becoming increasingly obvious to Jacobs, even if he couldn't prove it, that the incident and footage at Big Shore that September morning somehow fit into this overall big, complex, and largely hidden in plain sight picture. Jacobs had largely talked himself out of speaking more openly of the incident due to the security angle. However, the more he went over events in his mind, particularly given he was told the incident officially never happened, he would make the decision that he was free to tell the story of a non-event. Whether intentionally or not, though, only one media outlet would show significant interest to publish it, the National Enquirer. Perhaps because of the newspaper's mostly rightly reputation for distributing obviously untrue and purposely sensationalized stories, the account appeared to drift under the radar of the mainstream public. However, when MUFON picked up the incident, it would take on another level of interest.
That's the MUFON for you. Like it, MUFON. There's too much muff in the muffin. Too much muff. Okay, so...
certainly is that. Good for nothing.
Hey, don't upset Il. Okay,
oh yeah.
He probably watches some of ours.
Not directed at the likes of Earl, though.
He's a good guy.
The board I was thinking of.
Yeah, he's quite a defender of MUFON, though, as our friend. But we'll just carry on.
A surge of interest from investigators, buffs, and cranks. Although the appearance of his account in the National Enquirer did bring some attention to Jacobs, it was from a variety of investigators, buffs, cranks, proponents and detractors alike. And, as is the case many times, some of the most vicious assaults would come from debunkers who, as they often do, would use hyperbole and extreme arguments to make them appear the reasonable objectors when in reality they are simply shouting down and shutting down discussion and debate.
So, Hynek would have been involved in this one too, wouldn't he?
Yes, he would.
But probably not publicly, though. Because it was hushed up with internal. It's only this guy that leaked it. But I wonder if Hynek had any notes there on this particular case that got released.
I would imagine so at a later date, yeah.
Maybe there's still, censorship, what do you call it? Above top secret.
However, perhaps the one person who would lend Jacobs a certain amount of credibility was the aforementioned Major Mansman. He would state that he had opened Pandora's box by telling his account. However, he would also verify that what he said was categorically true.
It makes you wonder what the beam from the UFO was trying to do, though. To cook the inside of the radioactive material.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of strange. Because it cut the tip of the rocket off, right? And it fell away. So
yeah, the warhead, came tumbling down to the ground. But had it disabled it, we'll never know.
Maybe it fried the circuit board on it so it wouldn't detonate.
Possibly.
I wouldn't it just blow up the whole rocket, though? Wouldn't it do the same thing?
Actually, that'd make a bit of a fuss, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because everybody would see it then. So let's read out the next book.
Following such public and supporting statements, more and more serious UFO researchers would begin to look at the case. Slowly, more and more theories were put forward. It appeared that most who examined the case were in agreement that the object that entered the frame was a three-dimensional, intelligently controlled flying device. What's more, this device managed to cause a malfunction and part destruction of a dummy warhead, possibly with a plasma beam or some other force of energy.
The question is, could a... Oh, you got someone at the door.
Yeah, no probs. 2 secs.
Yeah. Chris is going to say something. Must be the postman Pat. So... Sounds like a postman. Postman Pat. I forgot what I was going to say now. Come on, Rob, where are you?
I'm back.
Postman Pat, by the sounds of it.
Yes.
And it's not even your birthday.
No. I actually bought those birthday presents for myself. They just came late.
It's funny how your postman worked there. In our country, they just drop it off into your letterbox and you have to go and check yourself down the end of the street.
That was too big to put through the letterbox, Paul. It's another UFO picture.
Don't they have a parcel bay at the bottom though?
No, I guess delivered to the house by courier, you know.
Oh, right.
Depending where you bought it, of course.
Yeah. So the thing is, could a warhead fall off a rocket by itself? I would doubt it very much. So why would the buffs be arguing about it being true? Because they never saw the video footage, obviously. So they could only go by what he was describing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think we got down to the bottom here. Plasma beam or some other force of energy.
We don't really know what it was. Maybe
what is perhaps interesting here is that some of the recent weapons of the 21st century appear to display such technology. And what's more, as we have examined in previous articles, some of these new weapons have paper trails that lead back to the mid-20th century. That would, for example, be the only explanation for the claims that the incident showed laser tracking devices. That such technology, while not available publicly, was available behind closed doors to the US military. Jacobs, however, doesn't believe that to be the case.
See, I don't think even today you can go around a rocket and cut the warhead off with a laser. Because it takes a long time for it to heat up the metal and go around, right?
Absolutely.
How long was the footage? How long was the footage again? Do we know?
No, just a few seconds, I believe.
Few seconds. So.
I mean, of the UFO coming in, it was just a few seconds.
And then cutting off the warhead, though, going around.
Yeah, just a few seconds, and then shot off the way it came. There's
no way our technology could shoot a laser beam, and cut off a warhead. Because I know it's got the energy to do it now, but they can fire it and shoot down a satellite by going up in the atmosphere and then firing it from a...
And all this going on at around about 12,000 miles per hour. Oh, no, we ain't got that.
No, there's no way a laser would be able to cut it in a few seconds like that. I just don't believe it. So, even the plasma beam they're talking about here. First, Star Wars program. Okay, that's Ronald Reagan.
The first terrestrial demonstration of the Star Wars program. As we mentioned previously, Jacob's belief is that what was on display that September morning was of extraterrestrial origin. That the object was not anything of which our science and technology in 1964 was capable. Therefore, an alien origin was the most probable explanation. However, perhaps one of the most intriguing claims was the device used to record, film, and photograph the event. The Boston University telescope was transferred to California at great expense and effort, and was the only known device that could have captured such clear images. Was the fact that such effort into moving the device worth looking at? As Jacobs asks, did someone in the United States government know this incident was about to take place?
Okay, so what do we got here?
Yeah, they want to it pretty quick, won't they? Excuse me.
But still, the Star Wars program wasn't about shooting plasma beams from space down to Earth or shooting
Not at all.
Shooting rockets out of the sky. It was more like dropping depleted uranium rods from space, which would blow up a whole city, but leave no radiation like normal nuclear weapons. So we'll just carry on next bit. We're probably going to run out of reader time in a minute.
Well, actually, you can skip down to the bottom now, Paul.
Well, let's just read out this last bit then.
Okay.
The Big Shore UFO film incident, a case study first published May the 12th, 2019, last updated May the 27th, 2009.
Give that a go.
Jacobs certainly isn't the first person to make the accusation of the active involvement in UFO sightings by the United States government. However, given his stance that the technology was both of extraterrestrial origin and an active demonstration by extraterrestrials. In fact, this last point is one that Jacobs would continue to come back to over the years. That the sole purpose of the encounter was put on, for some reason, for our benefit by extraterrestrials. In fact, not only that, but this technology was the first terrestrial demonstration of what would come to be called the ST, or the Star Wars program. This is quite a claim. However, as truly outlandish as it will be for some, might this be a continuation of the apparent deal for technology that began with meetings between President Eisenhower and grey aliens at Edwards Air?
I don't believe in that.
I think that's a fake story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that the one where we went to the dentist? I think we've covered it before.
This is it.
Yeah, it's lack of physical evidence for that meeting. I think there was no dentist records, wasn't there, or something like that. I think we went over it before. Maybe not before your time. Maybe it was I went over it before.
Okay.
Maybe with John. I don't know. I can't remember now. So we can skip that.
It's too much for me to swallow.
Yeah, let's talk about the Eisenhower alien thing.
Skip.
Robert the Skeptic, eh? How about that, everybody?
Yeah.
And real nerving connection. So we could probably keep on reading until it runs out.
If you like.
We'll get down to the bottom of the page there.
An unnerving connection many don't wish to know about. We will not go over the details or circumstances around that meeting here. Might it be, however, if we accept that such a deal with the Greys is true, that this active demonstration was the final part of sealing such a deal?
Hey, run out. This is the box we get popping up here. Upgrade now. Insert your credit card.
Nah.
Okay, so where we get down to deal. And allowing such a race to exercise their sudden negotiated right to begin the temporary abductions of citizens of the United States for their own experiments before returning them with no
memory of encounter. Yeah, it's quite a claim, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it actually says that there. Yeah, we can skip. If you go down to the bottom of the tab now,
Yeah.
bottom of the
Skip down.
and just move on to Bob Jacobs' actual video.
That one?
Yeah, I'd advise you slow this down rather than speed it up because Jacob speaks quite quickly, you know.
So I wonder what it's from. Is it from Out of the Blue again? I don't know.
I think it was Serious Disclosure, was something to do with Drea, didn't it?
Could be. Yeah. Hang on, we got a problem. It's undone our thing for some reason.
What's it done? Oh.
Redirected the sound.
Okay.
Closed captions on. Okay, here we go. I don't want to play the music. There we go, from there probably.
Blew up on launch.
Yeah.
And our job was to determine why they blew up, to provide the engineers good enough engineering sequential photography so that they could see what was wrong with the bird as it took off in flight. What we photographed up there affected me for the rest of my life and made a huge impact on my understanding of the universe and of governmental manipulation of our minds. The purpose of them was they were ballistic missiles. They were to deliver nuclear weapons on targets. That's what they were there for. We weren't launching real nuclear weapons. We were launching dummy warheads. They were the exact size, shape, and dimension and weight of a nuclear warhead. For my stunning achievement in finding a place where I could look back at Vandenberg Air Force Base from up north, and for figuring out how to transmit the timing up there, and for getting the thing set up, I was awarded the Air Force Guided Missile Insignia. I was the first photographic officer in the Air Force to get they called it the missile badge. And it was a highly coveted thing at the time. It was definitely in 1964 because Florence Mansman confirmed that, and he knew, he had written it down and knew the exact date of it. They counted down the missile. We heard engine ignition, lift off. We knew the missile was underway. And we were looking down southwest, and the missile popped up through the fog. It was just beautiful. And I hollered, "There it is." And our guys on our M45 tracking mount with 180-inch lenses on it got it. And the big BU telescope swung over and got it. And we followed the thing, and sure enough, we could see all three stages of powered flight as they burned out and dropped away. And then, of course, to our naked eye, all we saw was a smoke trail going off into subspace as it headed off toward its target, which was Eniwetok Island, Eniwetok Atoll.
Mute your mic before blowing your nose.
So we whooped and shouted and heard the film wrap off in the BU telescope, and figured, well, that was our first big deal, and we got it. We sent the film back down to Vandenberg, and I don't know exactly how long it was after the event. It might have been a day or two. I was called into Major Mansman's office at the 1st Strategic Aerospace Division headquarters. And I walked into his office, and they had a screen and a 16mm projector set up. There was a couch.
16mm.
And Major Mansman said, "Sit down." And there were two guys, as I recall, in gray suits, civilian clothes, which was fairly unusual. And Major Mansman said, "Watch this." and turned on the film projector. And I watched the screen, and there was the launch from a day or two before it at Big Sur. It was quite exciting because of the length of the telescope. As the Atlas missile entered the frame, we could see the whole third stage, which has two rocket nozzles like this and one in the center, a gimbaled one in the center, fill in our frame from about 160 miles. That was pretty exciting optics. We watched that stage burn out. We watched the second stage burn out. We watched the third stage burn out. And into the frame came something else. It flew into the frame like this, and it shot a beam of light at the warhead, which is represented by my thumb here. Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, and then this thing flies up like this. Meanwhile, we're all going like this, fires another beam of light, goes around like this, we're going like this, fires another beam of light, goes down like this, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. And the warhead tumbles out of space. Now, I saw that.
Took 4 cuts.
I don't give a goddamn what anybody else says about it. I saw that on film. Phil Klass can kiss my ass. He wasn't there. I was.
Philip Klass.
Now, when the lights came on, Major Mansman turned around and looked at me and said, "Were you guys screwing around up there?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "What was that?" And I said, "It looks to me like we got a UFO." Now, the thing that we saw, this object that flew in, was circular, was shaped like two saucers cupped like this with a ping pong ball on top. The beam of light came out of the ping pong ball. That's what I saw on film. Now, Major Mansman said to me, after some discussion about it, he said, "You are never to speak of this again. As far as you're concerned, this never happened." And I said, "Well?" And he said, "I don't need to emphasize the dire consequences of a security breach, do I?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "Fine, this never happened."
Before, though.
So I started for the door. He said, "Wait a minute." He said, "Years from now, if you're ever forced by someone to talk about this, you are to tell them it was laser strikes, laser tracking strikes." Well, in 1964, we didn't have any laser tracking strikes. We didn't have any laser tracking at all. Lasers were in their infancy in 1964. They were little playthings in laboratories. So I said, "Yes, sir," and walked out, and that was the last I talked about it for 18 years. I didn't talk about it to anybody at Vandenberg Air Force Base. Nobody in my squadron knew about it. Nobody saw the film but me. My commanding officer, Major Lewis S. Clement, Jr., didn't see it. My operations officer, Captain Kenneth R. Callahan, didn't see it.
Which is a shame.
His assistant, Lieutenant Ronald O. Baylor, didn't see it. Their assistant, Chief Warrant Officer Guy M. Spooner, didn't see it. Nobody in my squadron saw it, and I didn't talk about it to anybody under direct orders from Major Florence J. Mansman, Jr. Consequently, no one at Vandenberg that I know of knows anything about this. That sounds real suspicious, doesn't it? Somebody should have seen it. Somebody should have talked about it. Well, they didn't. Because in those days, I didn't talk about
You notice, I'll just interrupt that. I'm just looking at his body language. You could see he was looking left and looking down. He was recalling audio and visual memories. So he's never looking over this way. Shame they haven't got the camera more square so we could analyse it a wee bit better.
Yeah, I see what you
Top
mean.
secret things that I was told not to talk about. There are things that I know about that I did in the service that I won't talk about to you now because they're top secret, and I could get my ass in trouble for talking about them. After 18 years,
There you go.
it occurred
He's
to
looking
me
left
that
there,
I could
even though
talk
he's
about
turning.
this one incident because nobody ever told me it was classified top secret. If you parse what Major Mansman said, he said, you are to say, this never happened. Well, that's not...
There you go. Did you see that micro look to the left as he was recalling memory? I'll just bring it back.
Yes, it did, yeah.
Whereabouts is it?
He said, you are to say, this never happened.
There we go. It's going to
Well,
look.
that's
See
not
that?
classifying
Bang.
it top secret,
Yeah,
is
left.
it? Didn't happen to anybody else. It's not a secondhand story. This happened to me. And I was a part of a United States Air Force cover-up for 18 years.
That must cut you up inside though, eh?
The object, the points of light that we saw, the warhead and so forth, were traveling through subspace about 60 miles straight up. And
There you go, look. Did you see he looked upwards here and left? As he went,
His eyes closed there. He looks like he's trying to recall, doesn't he?
No, if you go, I don't know if you can go back. But you can see he looks, he goes, and he looks up to the left.
When this thing caught up to them, flew in, flew around them, went like this, and flew back out. Everything was going to about
Did I get it?
11 or 14,000 miles. Traveling through subspace,
I think it was here.
Circular,
I'll watch it going, see if I can get it.
and rounded on the top and bottom, and it had a little dome in right straight in the center of it, from which this beam emitted. After that article hit, the shit hit the fan. I started being harassed at work. I started by odd telephone calls that would come during the day. At night at my house.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I would get telephone calls all night long sometimes. 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, midnight, 10 o'clock. People would call and start screaming at me. You're going down, motherfucker! You're going down, motherfucker!
Ooh.
And that's all they'd say. And they'd keep screaming at
I
it
must have missed it.
Finally hung up the phone.
It's okay.
One night, somebody blew up my mailbox by putting a big load of skyrockets in it. The mailbox went up in flames. And that night at 1 o'clock in the morning, the phone rang. I picked it up and somebody said, skyrockets in your box at night. Oh, what a beautiful sight, motherfucker.
I know it's not funny, but the lamps still go to keep things quiet. It's intimidation, isn't it? Quite obviously.
But if you look
here, the guy's
here,
making this up.
He looks down to the left again in a minute.
Yeah.
I told you that since this History Channel
he's looking over here.
Thing came up, and since you've started asking questions, and obviously this thing is in the wind again.
The scroll back thing doesn't seem to work. If I go backwards, it goes forwards. I don't know why. Probably because I got this thing up here enabled, maybe.
I'm starting to get telephone calls again. My wife and I get phone calls out.
There you go. He was looking. He always looks over here when he's doing a memory recall.
Out here in nowhere, Illinois, where we've retreated out to our farm. And
What
it's
have some of
strange.
the recent calls been? What have they been
They
saying?
don't say anything. They simply, you pick up the phone and say hello, hello, and there's a click. It's disconcerting,
Yeah.
but I've learned to not give a flip. I just don't care anymore.
You know, that almost sounds like, you know, to bring up Stan Romanek again. That's exactly what he was saying too, wasn't it? He got hassled like that.
Yeah, well, it didn't end there, you know. It wasn't just phone calls to his own household.
So obviously, who's doing the harassment, though? That's the problem. We don't know if it's some crazy
Philip
Europe.
Klass was the main one, and James Oberg another.
Yeah, but I mean, who would be phoning them up? Would it be some UFO nut job that doesn't believe it, or the government? We still don't really know.
Well, if it's just some nut job, you should have no problem tracking them.
Well, I don't know if they had caller ID back then, but
Kill me.
But I must admit, he comes across really credible to me.
Me too, agreed.
Are they going to do discredit me? Are they going to do any more than Philip Klass has already done to me? Are they going to make me look foolish?
What did Philip Klass do? We have to find out.
I know.
Oh, do you?
That's about all they can do.
Yeah.
I believe it's a belief system of mine that this nutty fringe around UFOs is part of the sort of concerted effort to keep serious study of it down. Anytime anybody tries to study this subject seriously, we're subject to ridicule. I'm a full professor at a relatively major university, and I'm certain that my colleagues at the university laugh at me and hoot and holler behind my back when they hear that I have an interest in studying unidentified flying objects. And that's just one of the things that we have to live with. Was I in the Air Force? The Air Force denied it.
Okay, so he's obviously a clever man, but because he goes to university, it might be some of his students that he's marked down that's harassing him, you know. So you can't sort of say either way on that one.
Was I ever at Vandenberg? Well, of course I couldn't, because I wasn't in the Air Force. How could I have been at Vandenberg? Did I put a tracking site at Big Sur, California? No, there was no tracking site at Big Sur, California, which is a crock. The tracking site at Big Sur, California is still there right where I put it, and they use it to show you every time the space shuttle lands in California, that's where you first see it from. And they're still photographing missiles from Vandenberg from that tracking site. At any rate, to corroborate my story, Lee Graham tracked down Florence J. Mansman Jr., the same major who had ordered me to shut up about it. He was now a PhD from Stanford in nuclear physics, I think. I'm not sure what his background was, but it was a PhD from Stanford, and a rancher in Fresno, California. And he wrote to Lee back saying, everything Bob said in his story is absolutely true. He corroborated my story. And he continued to do that year after year. Every time somebody brought it up, every time somebody would contact him, he corroborated my story by saying, yes, that's exactly what happened. It takes a lot of guts to do that. I became a fan of Sonny's. He's now deceased. He was my hero for a while.
So what's touching the face mean, though, when people touch the face and body language?
Not sure on that one.
I think Ben Hansen talked about it at one stage on the President.
Is it a negative sign?
I don't think it was, but Let's see. Maybe we can find out. Body language, touch and face. Because it could be like me. It always gets itchy nose.
Yeah.
And that would look bad, you know. Body language, touch and face. There we go. What's it say there? Touching your face during a conversation, especially on the nose, is commonly interpreted as an indication of deception. Well, that's me doomed, because I get itchy nose continuously. I think it's
we actually touched the cheek.
Yeah, also covering your mouth, which he hasn't done. And a genuine smile wrinkles and comes up, but that's not really it. What else we got here? Might have to look at the images. There's a touching face, no. That's thinking. That's touching the chin. He touched the cheek though, didn't he? So let's have a look. Here we go. Thinking, happy. No. Oh, touching the thing. Thinking. So he was thinking. Well, so maybe, I'd say. But you get the best thing there. I don't think it was a negative one. The neck stretch. I don't know if I saw that. Touching the eye. There's a lot to understand. Oh, there we go. That's more V shape from the chin though. Might have to come back to that one. It looks like we need to do some more research, but it looks like it's thinking anyway.
Okay.
I wasn't in the room at the time, but what happened to the film is an interesting story in itself, as Major Mansman told me and other people. Sometime after I had gone, the guys in civilian clothes, and he said there were 3 of them. I remembered 2. He said there were 3 people from this agency, and I thought it was the CIA. He said, no, it wasn't the CIA, it was somebody else, and I never did find out who it was. He said what happened is this. They took the film and they spooled off the part that had the UFO on it, and they took a pair of scissors and cut it off. They put that on a separate reel, they put it in their briefcase, they handed Major Mansman back the rest of the film and said, here, I don't need to remind you, Major Mansman, of the severity of a security breach. We'll consider this incident closed. And they walked off with the film. Major Mansman never saw it again, and as far as I'm concerned, nobody else ever saw it again. Certainly not at Vandenberg. I'm certain that it left Vandenberg and went somewhere else.
Yeah.
Wonder if they burnt it.
Major Mansman, who's a very good reader of film, said that the feeling at the time was that it must have been extraterrestrial. That they assumed that the beam of light that struck the warhead, the dummy warhead, was some sort of plasma beam, because it looked like a plasma beam. And they were assuming that it was something like that.
So to me it sounds like this case would have been home run for aliens or some sort, and it was way before we were born, so it's this amazing case really. So how old is he there then? He doesn't look that old really, apart from the grey hair.
No.
I knew someone that I used to work with at university. He was only 21 and he had pure grey hair with some black bits in it. Yeah, some people go grey really young. Do you know how old he was?
He's around about 60 there.
60, okay. So do we need to carry on with more of this, Mansfield?
Yeah, you can finish it off if you like.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get in trouble. But we
No,
are,
no, I am.
we
Major
are sort of
Florence
reviewing
J.
it though.
Mansman was a man of great
Exactly.
honor and great scientific standing in the community. For him to corroborate it is good enough for me. Even if I didn't believe myself, I would believe Major Mansman. Now there were two of us who were Air Force officers at the time, and we saw something, and we have both corroborated with each other that we saw that's what we recall from the incident. And what I have to ask skeptics or people who disbelieve what I'm saying is, why would I make this up? Why would Major Florence J. Mansman, Dr. Major Florence J. Mansman, why would he make it up? What have we to gain? I've made no money from this. I've got nothing but pain and suffering out of talking about it. I've been harassed at my home. This was used against me partially in losing a job once in teaching. I've had a hell of a time after I've told this story, but I continue to tell the story because I think it's important for people to understand that this sort of shit goes on in the government. That the government covers up information that we are entitled to know about as citizens of this country. That's why I tell my story. That's why I'm telling it to you. And I'll continue to tell it as long as I'm alive. And I'll always tell it the same way because it only happened one way.
He kind of looks almost crying there, doesn't he?
He's upset, isn't he?
Yeah.
Clearly.
He's almost got tears in the eyes. It's almost bloodshot there, you know. He's emotional. So that means that really all this is really happening to him.
I think so.
To him,
I believe
anyway.
so.
To his perspective in the world view, how it's affected his
Well,
life.
you see, he was, sorry, Paul, he was a lecturer at Santa Barbara University in California, and he was teaching dramatic arts at the time. And Oberg and class were sending letters to his boss saying he was irresponsible in the UFO net.
Right.
And he was suspended or lost the job completely over that period of time.
Oh, right.
So he's been through a hell of a lot. So you can understand why he's emotional.
So class caused him to lose a job.
Oh, yeah. And Oberg was a thorn in his side as well. Our little mate, Oberg.
So what did Oberg say it was?
I don't know. Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, I think he was convinced that the dummy hot warhead never came off, that it landed at its target as it was supposed to do, which is complete and utter crock of shite.
Is there any evidence
if you listen
of that?
to it? No. No.
So, yeah, I know you don't like Oberg too much. Or class. Class.
Oh, God, no. Oh, God, no.
I never vary the story because I can't. It's the truth. And I've been the subject of humiliating letters and phone calls from skeptics like
He scratched
James
his ear
Oberg
then.
at
I'm not sure what that
NASA,
is either.
Yes, he's
and
mentioning
Philip J.
he's
Klass is an
mentioning
idiot, paid
Oberg
informant
there,
of
you
the
see.
United
Yeah. Philip J. Klass is an idiot. Paid informer.
States government, who persist in belittling me, and that's fine if they want to belittle me, but don't belittle Sonny Mansman. The things that were denied specifically, first of all, was that I was ever in the Air Force. They had no record
Okay,
of
what's
me.
that say there? I can only say, in regard to your research, that in all my activities point to one fact: the information gathered something space is very favourable to our site. I suppose we need to see that whole document, don't we? I thought it might have said this. Yes, what we saw was a UFO, and backing up the Jacob's statement. But it doesn't say that there, does it?
Was it Vandenberg? No, they had no record of that. Once we found, he was at Vandenberg. Well, he was never at Big Sur because we don't have a tracking site at Big Sur. Well, we proved that. That's the nature of bureaucratic idiocy. The Air Force's position right now is there was no such incident and there was no film of it.
Okay, sort of going over the letter now. Quality
the thing that's
control.
important to me about this whole operation is very simply the biggest event in the history of humankind is the discovery that we are not alone. That there are other living entities, intelligent entities, in this universe or other universes, and that we aren't here alone.
Did you see that big look left there?
Yes, I did.
That was a major look. See if we can get it back.
That we are not alone. That there are other living entities, intelligent entities, in
Look at that.
this universe or other universes, and that we aren't here alone. That's a huge, enormous discovery. It's the discovery of the lifetime of humankind, isn't it? To find out that we're not here alone.
Oh.
What's happening?
That's why I think it's important to talk about these things. I think that's exciting. And I think that it's important for us as humans to come to terms, to grow up. Arthur C. Clarke's Childhood's End, to grow up and recognize that
looking left,
we may not be the paragon of animals after all. That there may be something out there that's bigger and more exciting than we are. And that just maybe,
look left,
just maybe, they're telling us something. Now, what I saw that day was something shooting down a dummy nuclear warhead. What message would I interpret from that? Don't mess with nuclear warheads. That's probably the message I would interpret from that.
Yeah.
I'd say, oh, well, maybe somebody doesn't want us annihilating Moscow. Maybe we should stop doing that. I'm not sure that's what went on.
He's almost crying.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan one night went on television. He did a most astonishing thing. Most astonishing. He stood up in front of America and said, we're going to build a defensive shield. We're going to call it SDI, the Strategic Defense Initiative. And its mission is going to be to protect us, to protect all of us. He said, Ronald Reagan said, we're going to share this with everybody. We're going to share it with the Russians, our enemies, the guys that only a few years ago we were pretending to annihilate. Oh, suddenly we're going to protect them with a shield. From whom are we going to protect them?
Also, were they looking out to space with the shield or looking down?
This is it. It's difficult to put your finger on what that speech was actually about. Very suspicious what he was saying, because he did seem to be implying that, we're not alone and there's a common foe. That's my interpretation of it anyway.
Yeah.
But it seemed to fly over everyone's crusty shack at the time.
Yeah.
No one seemed to get what he was talking about.
Yeah. Disclaimer. Copyrights. What's it saying there? So he's just trying to protect himself there with the copyright statement.
Yeah.
And also the opinions. Don't sue me. But yeah, the videos were quite good. What was that one there? What's it say? Jacobs? So he's in the picture, is he? Which one is Jacobs though? It says in the middle. Bob Jacobs. Mr. So that must be Jacobs there, is it?
Don't think that's him. It's more likely to be the guy in the fourth print of the picture.
Oh, hang on. Left to right. I'm going wrong direction. Aren't we?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, that's left. So
Yeah,
that's going to
left,
be, what's his name? Spooner. Lieutenant Bob. So which one comes first? This one here? He's got glasses on, so it has to. Both of them have got glasses on, so all of them have got glasses on, actually. But hard to tell, isn't it? Paulson, and Major, what's his name? Man, is it?
Mansman, yeah.
So it looks like he's talking to Jacobs, maybe, I don't know. Author. What's that say there? AFETR. They like their abbreviations, don't they? And that must be
Air Force.
yeah.
Air Force Technical. I don't know.
I wonder if we got any other pictures of Bob when he's younger. Let's see. What's that one there? Oh no. Alright, it might be on that one. Got that one there. Oh yeah, that's the same one. We don't have too many pictures of him actually, do we? It's always this one that everybody's familiar with when he's talking about it on these documentaries.
No, God, look at Stephen Greer there.
Is that him there? Yeah, apparently the girls liked him. Yeah, I think that was for a documentary, wasn't it? And the producers asked him to pose his muscles because he works out in the gym. Because it's good for ratings or something. I think I read something like that somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like there's any other pictures of him. It's amazing what comes up though. So we know that one.
Oh yes.
Linda. Yet I read today, everybody should trust what Dolan and Linda Moulton Howe says and forget everybody else.
Not in my lifetime.
No, not in mine either. Okay, so that might be the end of that one now, or you got some other links?
Yeah, no, that's good. No, that's pretty good because time's pushing on now, and we've only covered that one case, haven't we?
I know.
But overall thoughts on that particular incident? I don't know. I think it's a pretty classic case of alien intervention myself.
Yeah. It's probably
can't see any holes in the story.
One of the most credible ones, I think, anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
You got two people confirming it. But just shame that we don't get to see the footage, though. Back in those days, they didn't have smartphones to quickly take a snap of a frame or something. But, like I said, it must have been the clearest footage ever, so we don't even know what the the rocket launch looks like. I don't know if it's been uncensored or not, but that would be quite a good one. So the next one is the Malstron.
They're never going to declassify that, are they? Oh, heck yeah, I need to drop you a link for that.
I just wonder if there's some audio corruption happening there. That we should reset your video again. Hang on. Maybe you should drop out and I should... Maybe I'll close mine. Okay. So, have we got you back? Got you back. It's very grainy though.
Okay.
Did you drop back out and then again? Does seem a lot of graininess there.
Oh.
Yeah. So you're reading my screen all right though, aren't you?
Yeah.
Did you drop out and drop back in?
Doing it now.
Okay. That way we can be sure it's reset. Oh, it's not very crisp, is it? Can you hear me?
What is it? Yeah. How's that now?
It's not the best of footage from your end, but
It's awful.
But you'll get mine all right. But it's
Yes.
all right when we shrink you down though. I'll just check if there's any clicking. I don't think there is. Can you say 1, 2, 3, 4?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Testing. 10,
Perfect.
8, 6, 4, 2. Okay.
Sounds really good. So we need the next link. But before we start that, let me just see if I can find what I want to talk about. The notifications thing. I know we haven't got too many people watching. I don't know if that's you watching or someone else. So I'm not sure what that is about.
Being quiet.
So our next topics on Monday, because we'll be doing one on Monday, will be another abduction case that's come to light. That Robert will be retelling the story. It's not his or mine.
Yeah, Stan's case.
No, don't say his name. But
yeah, I know it's not his name. That's why I said that.
All right. Well, just being careful here. Don't say his name, whatever you do.
Yeah, of course.
So he wants to be called Stan for it, does he? That's good enough.
Yes.
Plenty of Stans out there, though. Okay, where best to put it? And also, our next cases next weekend will be on the Russian, how do we say that word? The Daylov Pass.
Daylov Pass, yeah.
So we'll be covering that and anything else that Robert wants to bring up. So, yeah, this, whereabouts is it? This one here, I think. So, we just found out that Google have added another feature on that we can check our subscribers and how many people have actually turned on the bell notification. And you can see I'm way low compared to the average of the maximum here of 30 and 20%. So only 135 of my subs out of, which has dropped by the way, 1581. It was 1584 all week, and that's dropped down to 81.
Yeah,
I think Google.
Yeah, and he went all at the same time.
Yeah, Google were doing something. And this one here, I'm not too sure. All notifications for the channel and enabled YouTube notifications. So I'm not sure what the difference is there. For your channel, enable YouTube notifications. Does that mean like the add-on you get that puts it into the tray? You know, like the little add-on. But even that's less than thing. But yeah, when you look at this, the average being 20% and 30% for all channels. To me, that's a problem. Google need to reset everybody to turn on all notifications and get them to untick it if they don't want notifications, and then we know we're back to square one, because you know we don't have 135 watching us, right? So that, and I checked out. They got also yeah, they got another one where we can check out, see how many come from notifications to the live session, and all of my last ones so far have been 0. They've come from mostly from Twitter, where I post onto Twitter. But I'll just show you how you can check your notifications to reset it yourself. And if I go into here, so you need to obviously bring up a channel you follow. I probably could choose Secure Team, probably, as an example. And you can see here I'm not subbed to him. So you can go to a video. I'll go to here. You there, Robert? You're back with us? Can't see. He ain't got his headset on. Are you there, Robert? Robert?
Back now.
Okay.
Back now.
Did you mute? Did you? That sounded quite.
Yes.
Right, because we didn't hear you that time. So I'm just showing people how you can check your notifications. Normally, when you subscribe to someone, so I'll just sub to Security, and it comes up with this little bell one. Subscription added, but you got to make sure you tick the bell icon. It doesn't say you have to tick it, else you won't get notifications. People in the past used to hit subscribe and automatically get the notifications, but now you got to click the bell. Yeah, this came in a year and a half ago, so now you got to click it once, and it says you get all notifications. But if you accidentally click it twice, it says you get occasional icons, but it hasn't actually got anything different on the bell, right? Which is kind of confusing. And if you click it again, it turns them off completely. I think you get all notifications. You get the occasional one. There used to be another one where you can turn it off completely. It doesn't look like they've got that anymore. I think what's happened is people probably haven't checked the bell to make sure it's got the little lines on it. Right, you get the little lines either side when it's all notifications. I don't know why they don't have the word all turned on underneath or something, you know, so it's really obvious.
Yep.
Occasional ones. Why would you, if you turned it off there, why would you want occasional ones? You know, you got turned off. There used to be an option for turning it off, you know. You don't want occasional ones. You either want it off, or you want all of the notifications, don't you? Why would you want occasional ones? I don't see the point of that. Doesn't make any sense. If you follow someone, you want to be told whenever they upload a new video, don't you? So you don't miss out watching it. So once you unsub, of course, automatically gets rid of the bell completely, obviously. But what else can happen is you can actually turn off all notifications deep in your profile. So it doesn't matter anyway if what's going on here. So you might have to check that as well. But yeah, why would only 20% of average channels only want no notifications? Doesn't make any sense. Why subscribe if you don't want any notifications when they're putting up something new? To me, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, like I said before, when you went away to people, they also give you stats on each of the live streams, and it tells you where the people come from. And 60% of mine come from Twitter. So when I post something up on Twitter, people click the link and come to watch our live from there. But it's meant to have also notifications, and I checked all mine, and none of them have notifications. So no one come from notifications, which tells me even though I've got 135 there, none of them are coming to watch the live stream unless I post. Kind of strange. Maybe they read my posts before clicking on the notification, maybe. So yeah, so the next one is this other location.
Yeah. I left the link there.
So my case that I wanted to talk about, the white powder ring, might have to be left for another time. Maybe I could do it Monday after the abduction story. Let's get on here. And we'll get the link for this, which is another Air Force base and nuclear rocket silo by the looks of it. Copy link. Yeah, I tell you, time flies when you're going through a case in detail like we do, you know. You can see you could do a 1 hour show just on one UFO case quite easily. And we do almost 2 hours or 1.5 hours. So TV shows don't give you half as much information as we do in one live stream, right? So so we've run out of robot talking. So you might have to read out some of this. Oh, it's a little font too. I'll have to up it. We've got all this white space here. That's probably where ads are, probably.
Yeah, crazy.
Oh, it's just a really badly formatted website. Well, that looks alright. It's obviously a bad formatted website, probably. So, what's the picture of the rocket here? Doesn't give us a caption. Is that the Atlas again?
Yeah. No, these are the Minutemen, I think.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Minutemen, intercontinental ballistic missiles, yeah.
Okay.
Or IBMs.
So why are they called Minutemen?
I think it was after the American Civil War, wasn't it? Not the Civil War, sorry, the War of Independence, where they had instant response guys out there called the Minutemen to fight the British when they were needed.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of that before.
That's what they named the missile after.
Oh, okay. So where do we begin with this one then? Copyright says here. Robert Salas. So what material is copyrighted and what's not?
Okay, I'll let you have a look at that. So don't want you getting into trouble.
Ah, it should be right. Following is told by Robert Salas, who was a DMCCC in Q flight in the morning. Who is Robert Salas? His name rings a bell. Is he a trusted source of information?
Yes, he is, yeah. Actually, Paul, I think the best introduction to this case is to, if you give me one moment, is to actually go straight.
Okay, let's just get a bio of this guy anyway. Is that in there? Let's have a look. Captain. Okay, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Captain Robert Salas graduated from US Air Force. I've heard his name around the UFO MUFON channels. That seems to ring a bell. Spent several years in active duty, 64 to 71. He also held positions at Martin Marietta and Rockwell, and spent 21 years at FAA in the Air Force. He was an Air Force traffic controller, okay, and a missile launch officer. That's a big responsibility. As well as an engineer on the Titan III missile. So that might have been a Titan III missile that we looked at, maybe. Captain Salas testifies below about a UFO incident in March of 1967. That's the one we're looking at, isn't it? 64, 67, where this states.
When we're at 67 now, yeah.
Yeah, so this is it. So this is where he states that 16 nuclear missiles become non-operational at 2 different launch facilities immediately after guards saw UFOs hovering above. So that's the one we're going to talk about now.
Yeah. There's
quite a lot there. I don't know if it's worth reading that or not.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather you go to the next tab I've left there and just listen to Robert Salaz's introduction to the case.
Yeah, I need to get a drink too. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I probably need to go to the toilet as well.
Okay, I'll wait for you.
Hang on, I just got that one again. That's the same one, isn't it? Same one. Yeah, have you posted it?
Yeah, it's the Disclosure Project one, Paul.
You haven't posted it, so I'm not sure where you posted it to.
You sure?
You haven't posted it in the side tab for other people. It's not there, mate.
It's in the YouTube link. I'll post it again now. Just hell! I posted it, but I never hit the enter button. Idiot.
Oh, it's too long. That's
no,
normally what
it's
happens.
Not. Stay now.
Oh, no, it's a YouTube thing, is it? No. Yes, it is. It's gone to studio.
Yeah.
I always have to edit those ones. Crazy. I'm not sure. It's since they switched over to Studio Beta. Stupid, really. Okay, what do we got here? Is it safe? Disclosure Project again. There. Yeah. Faster or slower? I will try a bit faster this time.
You think you can?
Oh yeah, we'll just play that. How come it's on a little tiny video though? Okay.
My name is Robert.
Yeah, it's taken a conference, isn't it?
Oh, that's the guy there. I recognise.
Yep.
Yeah, I recognise his face now. I might not recognise their names, but I don't see the faces often. He wasn't discredited by any chance, was he, ever? This guy?
Not discredited as such, but he left the UFO field in slightly odd circumstance. He got a little bit sick of things, you know. He also claimed to have an abduction experience as well. I've read his book where he mentions that.
Yeah, but we've also had those ourselves now, and that happens when we get into the UFO field. Maybe there's something bigger picture thing going on here that we're still yet to figure out. So yeah, we'll just carry on with this. I should go to the toilet though.
Okay. Solace, contrary to what it says on the card, I was not a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. I was in the Air Force active duty after I graduated from the Air Force Academy in 1964 until 1971 and separated as a captain. In March of 1967, I was stationed at Malstron Air Force Base, Montana as a missile launch officer, Minuteman missiles. On an early morning of March 16th, 1967, I got a call from my security guard, primary security guard upstairs. We had about 6, as I recall, flight security airmen upstairs. I was downstairs 60 feet underground in a capsule monitoring and controlling 10 nuclear-tipped Minuteman missiles. I got a call that morning that they were seeing strange lights flying in the sky. I disregarded that call. I told them to call me when something more significant happened. I got another call subsequent to that call, and this time it was a more intense tone in the guard's voice. It was very clearly very frightened. He said there was a bright, glowing red object hovering outside the front gate. It was oval-shaped. He had all the other guards out there with their weapons drawn. Right after that call, I woke up my commander, who was on a rest period, Fred Mywald. a retired colonel now, and told him about the phone calls. As I was telling him about the phone calls, my weapons started going down, one after the other. They went into a no-go condition, what we call a no-go condition. They were unlaunchable. We lost somewhere between 6 and 8 weapons that morning within minutes of having received that second phone call of a UFO hovering outside the front gate. Again, that morning, after reporting it to the command post, we were informed that a very similar incident happened at Echo Flight. I was at Oscar Flight. They lost all 10 of their weapons under similar circumstances, very similar circumstances, where UFOs were sighted over the launch facilities. They had maintenance crews and security crews out there that had spent the night, and they were reporting UFOs over those sites. And the commander of that flight was Eric Carlson. He also separated as a captain, and the deputy commander was Walt Fiegel. He retired as a lieutenant colonel. We have those witnesses that I just mentioned, the names I just mentioned, have spoken of this event before, and they will back up this story. We also have documentation that I received through FOA requests from the Air Force outlining the Echo Flight incident, and including in that documentation a reference to UFOs. We have telexes covering this incident, and in one telex it says the fact that no apparent reason for the loss of 10 missiles can be readily identified is cause for grave concern to this headquarters. This was from SAC headquarters. So we've got those telexes. I've got about 12 witnesses that'll verify parts of this story, including of a man who investigated the incident afterwards for the Air Force, and you'll hear a little bit more about that from the next witness. And also another guard that witnessed a UFO in that same time period, and another officer who retired full colonel who had other reports of UFOs. Ancillary to that, excuse me, I've got the complete report on a Minot, North Dakota incident. That was Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota, which happened in August of 1966. Very similar, UFOs sighted over missile silos, and also a UFO incident that was investigated by the Air Force immediately after our incident within a week. I'm willing to testify to the truth of all these matters that I've spoken about in front of Congress under oath. Thank you.
So that's that. So
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't hear the front bit. Is that not the current disclosure project? That was the early one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
2000.
exopolitic.
Yeah, 2001. So, so he was going to put some witnesses up to verify his story. So basically the UFOs hovered over the base, but then all the missiles went offline, wasn't it? On this one.
Yeah, that's it. And when they arrived on the scene, they tore all the computer systems to pieces, only to find there was absolutely nothing wrong with them. There was no reason why it should have gone offline.
So yeah, there wasn't any beams of light this time though, or not detected anyway, was there?
No.
Okay, so
it's a big orange ball of light, apparently.
Orange ball.
Yeah. One of the security guys panicked and tried to climb over the fence to get away from it, apparently, and he fell in the process.
Right.
Now, they started to panic then at this stage.
Okay.
And that's where they called. Now, Salas at the time couldn't see any of this because he was, I don't know how many meters he was, in down concrete. Obviously, those places are well protected in case there's a blast near them. So, yeah, he couldn't see anything, but he was well aware what was going on up top.
So it says here, update 15th of May 2000. Please note the previous versions of this presentation stated that Robert Salas was on duty November flight. Later research and witness testimony has revealed that it was actually Oscar flight. Whatever that means.
Yeah, well, they all had their names.
Yeah. Tango Beta or whatever it is. So, Echo Flight. So this one's a different one. Echo Flight.
That went down as well. 1 week before, I think.
Okay, so, suppose we can try the other reader.
Oh, yeah. The American guy.
Yeah, we call him Dolan.
Oh. Okay.
But it's not going to play though. But unless I picked the wrong one. I think I did though. Bottom one. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Website down for maintenance maybe. Try again.
Echo Flight.
Alright, he's finally woken up. Hey, thank you, Dolan, for joining us. Can you read this out?
Echo Flight in central Montana, Thursday morning, March 16th, 1967. Captain Eric Carlson and First Lieutenant Walt Vigil, the Echo Flight Missile Combat Crew, were below ground in the A-Flight Launch Control Center, LCC, or capsule. The Echo Flight LCC was located between Winfried and Hilger, about 15 miles north of Lewistown.
Okay. I think we did bring up a map of that location, didn't we? Air Force Base. Is that in the same location? Between 15 minutes, so I suppose we can need to find those locations. Winfried. How do we spell it? Winfried. Winfield, was it? Was it Winfried or Winfield? I can't remember now.
I'm not sure either.
Winfried. Yeah, that's what I said. Can't see it on the list here though. Very strange. Winfried, here we go. Lots of options here. New York, I don't think it's here.
No, you got it at the top there, isn't it? Winfried, South Dakota, USA at the top.
Was that the one?
I think so.
Let's have a look. Let's do an assuming. So it's in between there and what was the other location? Higer. Well. So that gives us a rough idea anyway. Big distance here though. Looks like there's a big mountain range here, which we noticed before, where the Air Force base is. Well, missile base, isn't it? As well. Is it? Is that where the missile base is?
Malstron, isn't it?
Was that where the missile silos were, though?
Yes.
They call it Air Force Base even though they got missile silos there. It seems a bit strange. Yes. Looks like there's a big airport. Look at it. It's quite big. Hey. Car parks. It's quite close to all this built up location here. It seems a strange place to put a missile silo. All those get wiped out. What's that there? Is that a silo? Lake? No, it's a lake, isn't it? What's that there? It's quite interesting having a look around. What's all this here? Weird. A duck pond, maybe. What's that one there?
Because those bases get targeted, don't they? So I don't know why it's such a good idea to put them near populated areas.
Yeah, kind of strange, isn't it? Maybe so they don't get targeted?
Yeah,
Maybe.
they often put them in strategic areas where the wind's blowing, the prevailing wind is blowing away from the more populated areas, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I would have thought it would have been better down here, way out of the population
It
zone.
depends where the prevailing wind is there, you know.
Yeah, we can close that down now.
Okay.
So the missile maintenance, which is basically said anyway. Yeah, it looks like it's highlighting the missile here.
Missile maintenance crews and security teams were camped out at 2 of the launch facilities, LFS, having performed some work during the previous day and stayed there overnight. During the early morning hours, more than one report came in from the security patrols and maintenance crews that they had seen UFOs. A UFO was reported directly above one of the E-flight, LF, or silos. It turned out that at least one security policeman was so affected by this encounter that he never again returned to missile security.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the way I read up the buff here, it's not actually at the Air Force Base, it's saying it's somewhere between these two locations. So it was on that stretch of road that we had.
Yeah.
Obviously,
we don't want to give you the exact location, do they?
Kind of strange, so because Russians would have access to Google Maps. I suppose we could have looked. We could have looked for it. Maybe it's camouflaged. Maybe they don't know where it is. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they would. Spy satellites and all that.
Around 8:30 a.m., Vigil, the deputy crew commander, TMCCC, was briefing the Carlson, the crew commander, MCCC, on the flight status when the alarm horn sounded. One of the Minuteman missiles they supervised had gone off alert, become inoperable. It was one of the 2 sites where maintenance crews had camped out on site. Upset, thinking that the maintenance personnel had failed to notify him as required by procedure when maintenance work is done on a missile, that the missile was going off alert status, Vigil immediately called the missile site.
Okay.
When Vigil spoke with the on-site security guard, he reported that they had not yet performed any maintenance that morning. He also stated that a UFO had been hovering over the site. Vigil recalls thinking the guard must have been drinking something. However, now other missiles started to go off alert in rapid succession. Within seconds, the entire flight of 10 NUKES was down. All of their missiles reported a no-go condition. One by one across the board, each missile had become inoperable. When the checklist procedure had been completed for each missile site, it was discovered that each of the missiles had gone off alert status due to a guidance and control (GNC) system fault. Power had not been lost to the sites. The missiles simply were not operational because, for some unexplainable reason, each of their guidance and control systems had malfunctioned.
I'm just laughing at the drunken American here. So,
yeah.
ICBMs. I think we could change the voice, but I'm not sure if any of them are any better. But maybe the female one's better. I'm not sure how you change it now. Is that one?
Power had not this much.
No. Right click options, maybe. Celebrity voice changer. No, don't want that one. Where's the panel? It's under the ad. I think we ain't got much choice in this one.
Okay.
So this has got a limit of 5,000 words. Unless you pay $3 a month. Read speed. We probably could speed them up a wee bit, but then he might glitch. What else we got? Settings. Here we go. Male or female? We could try the female, I guess.
Can't be any worse.
Yeah. How do we play it though? Doesn't do a test. You're using the free version, damn right. Show play buttons. How do we save it though? Does it change it? It's not doing anything. Oh, we're broken it now. Must be a select one, is it? Can't see anywhere where it says safe. Oh, here we go. What's that say up there? Comes up with the ad again. Well, it's got female selected there. Normal, maybe speeds up a wee bit. Okay. Where did we get to? Malfunctioned.
To security.
Sounds a bit like Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it does too.
Hang on, I'll just read it out. I'm probably going to laugh more of this one, actually.
God.
We'll just get Michael Jackson to read it out.
Two security alert teams, SAT, strike teams, were dispatched from ECHO to those sites where the maintenance crews were present. Vigil had not informed the strike teams that one of the on-site guards had reported a UFO. On arrival at the LLFs, the SAT reported back to that UFOs had been seen hovering over each of the two sites by all of the maintenance and security personnel present at each site.
I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do that one, Robert. Every time I'm going to listen to that, it's going to sound like Michael Jackson.
Oh no!
My child's called Blanket. Sorry, I'm
we're about to lose about 200 subs.
Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, he did do some good songs though, but that's how he talked.
Yeah.
Though. That's how he sounded.
Very talented man.
Let's go back to the drunk American. You can pay $3 a month for it, but we have sped it up a wee bit, so maybe try there. Oh no, I got tears in my eyes now. Does it save it? Yeah, look, well, at least we have lots of fun on this channel, don't we? Yeah, so let's see if we can read out the next bit. I'm not sure what the last bit said because I was too busy crying with laughter. I'll just read out the first bit here.
Captain Don Crawford's.
Well, he doesn't sound as drunk, so we'll just try it with that speed then. Might be too fast though.
Voy.
What? I didn't say that.
Captain Don Crawford's crew relieved the Echo flight crew later that morning. Crawford recalls that both Carlson and Vigil were still visibly shaken by what had occurred. Crawford also recalled that the maintenance crews worked on the missiles the entire day and late into the night during his shift to bring them all back on alert. Not only had missiles been lost to our deterrent forces, but had remained out of service for an entire day. Because of this unique incident. As an ex-missileer describes it, all hell broke loose. Among the many calls to and from the AE-flight LCC-1 was to the MCCC of Oscar flight, which links to the equally dramatic story of what happened in another LCC that same morning.
I think he might be talking a wee bit too fast now. What do you think?
It's not too bad for me.
You reckon? Sounds like
seems okay.
He sounds like a speed reader now. Okay, if you think it's all right, we'll just keep.
One second. Toilet break again. So.
All right. We wait for toilet break. Unfortunately, we haven't got Robert's image working again. I think it's because we're streaming. Might have to look into that maybe somehow. Maybe do it through a VPN might solve it. Oh, proxy. I'll have to reconfigure that video window to use this browser, which is possible. But as long as we get the audio from him, that's the main thing. As long as you don't get that crackle noise.
Okay.
So I got Philip Bentel. You know Philip. Philip Mantel.
Philip Mantel. That rings a bell.
Well, he's just sent me a message on YouTube saying there's the Pascagoula ones again, which he's already got because he's already contacted me about them. He wants to know if they're my ones or one's already gotten. But I did enhancements. I did some enhancements to it, made it a lot better than the originals were, though.
Philip Mantle. I think that's how you pronounce the name.
Yeah.
He's a Yorkshire guy from the UK.
Yeah, and he's like a book publisher for people. But yeah, I won't talk about him. I just got a lot of comments on email there. Especially from stuff I posted on Martin's one, where I said, is that footage out of focus? Because to me it looked like it was out of focus, and I didn't think my eyes were that bad. But I think it almost looked like his camera on whatever he's recording the interview with was focusing on the microphone rather than the people. I don't know if you
need to get me up to speed on that one because I'm not really sure.
Haven't you seen Martin's interviewing Paul Hynek and
No, not yet. Got that one saved for later.
Right. So Calvin Parker, was it? Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, Calvin Parker, yeah. Pascagoula incident, yeah.
Yeah. And I mentioned that I got all the videos up of various interviews. But, yeah. Okay, next bit to read out here. So, it's not really too exciting in this case, though. It's pretty mundane to me. I don't know about you.
Of course. It's quite mundane when you look at it that way. But the fact that a UFO, turned all the missiles into a no-go state is this has been happening regularly. It happened at Minot, and it's happened on various bases throughout the states.
But we want to know if it happens. Yeah, but we want to know if it happened in America, Russia as well, and we'll never know.
It did happen in Russia. Yeah, there was one there that came out. Yeah, definitely. It was Bialokovich in the Ukraine.
All right, you haven't got any information on that one.
Not today, I haven't, no, but I can do that again. This is a very good case.
I thought you might have linked the two, that's all. But anyway, read out the next bit if you want to.
You could link them all. I was linking these 2 cases we've covered today.
Right. You're talking about the 2 Air Force bases being linked, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Although it's a 3-year gap between the 2 cases.
There is, yes. Yeah.
Mm.
But the only link I was trying to make was that there's an interest in nuclear weapons.
Mm. There is.
There's plenty of cases.
Well, apparently some said that UFOs were spotted at nuclear testing even back in the 40s, was it?
Yeah. I got an email off Bob Hastings because I went to his site to buy his book from him, you see.
Yeah.
Because it was 20 quid off his site. And it was like 300 quid if you wanted to buy it on Amazon for whatever reason that was. So he got in touch with me after, you know.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to. I'd already bought the book, so he had no reason to get back in touch with me. And yeah, he sent me a couple of interviews of the 2 people he'd interviewed in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there was definitely a correlation then as well.
Yeah. But I've seen a lot of videos with the nuclear explosions going on. I've never seen any UFOs in those ones, at least.
Oh, they were seen, you know. A lot of the early testing, they were there. You know, they're gonna cut that out, Paul, if they pick anything up in a video. They're not going to show that for public consumption, are they?
Yeah, whether it's a flying disc or whether it's debris from the blast, who really knows, though? Because I remember...
I think they were before the incidents took place, you know, before the blast took place.
Oh, right. Yeah.
On a regular basis, that is.
Well, maybe they weren't too worried because it wasn't on a missile back then.
Mm-hmm.
Or missile, as the Americans call it. Missile. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it didn't take us too long, though, to develop these. From the V2 rocket, you know, once we had those Germans, you know, paperclip scientists on the side, it didn't take us too long.
Well, apparently the Germans are actually working on the atomic bomb. That's why Einstein stepped in and said you need to take it seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it was all to do with Einstein, so they got all their men to look into it. But apparently they found enriched uranium that the Germans were working on and stole it and sent it back to America. I think that's where they got a lot of the early material for the first atomic bomb from.
I know that Einstein...
Yep.
Yeah, I know that Einstein persuaded Roosevelt that it was actually possible to build this bomb into something workable. And it was that personal meeting with Einstein that done it for Roosevelt.
Oh, you're corrupting for some reason.
Sorry, I was backing a bit then as well.
Yeah, so let's just read out the rest of it. Oscar Flight now.
Oscar Flight. The Oscar Flight LCC was located a mile or 2 south of the town of Roy, about 20 miles southeast of the Echo Flight LCC. The following is as told by Robert Saws, who was the DMCCC in O-Flight that morning. My recollection is that I was on duty as a Deputy Missile Combat Crew Commander below ground in the LCC. During the morning hours of 16th of March, 1967. Outside, above the subterranean LCC capsule, it was a typical clear, cold Montana night sky. There were a few inches of snow on the ground. Where we were, there were no city lights to detract from the spectacular array of stars, and it was not uncommon to see shooting stars. Montana isn't called Big Sky Country for no reason, and airmen on duty topside probably spent some of their time outside looking up at the stars. It was one of those airmen who first saw what at first appeared to be a star begin to zigzag across the sky. Then he saw another light do the same thing, and this time it was larger and closer. He asked his flight security controller, FSC, the non-commissioned officer, NCO, in charge of Launch Control Center site security, to come and take a look. They both stood there watching the light streak directly above them, stop, change directions at high speed and return overhead. The NCO ran into the building and phoned me at my station in the underground capsule. He reported to me that they had been seeing lights making strange maneuvers over the facility, and that they weren't aircraft, I replied, great. You just keep watching them and let me know if they get any closer.
He's a wee bit fast, but I think I pick up most of the words he's saying.
Yeah, I can deal with that.
This means we'll get through it quicker if he's talking a wee bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe other people that have trouble listening might have trouble. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think the voice is too bad. I'll just read out.
Sounds better now than it did before, Paul.
You reckon?
I did not take this report seriously and directed him to report back if anything more significant happened. At the time, I believed this first call to be a joke. Still, that sort of behavior was definitely out of character for air security policemen whose communications with us were usually very professional. A few minutes later, the security NCO called again. This time he was clearly frightened and was shouting his words.
Yeah, I suppose it is a bit better than the Michael Jackson voice anyway.
Yeah. So this is quite significant, you know. It's not such a banal case at all.
But people might find it boring. They've probably heard it so many documentaries now, though. But this had a lot of eyewitness accounts to it, so it's one of the more credible ones.
Yeah, but those other documentaries aren't covering it as thoroughly as we do.
No, not normally, no. Plus, this will be all the update information since, probably, if you've looked into it, that is.
Yeah.
Sir, there's one hovering outside the front gate. One what? A UFO. It's just sitting there. We're all just looking at it. What do you want us to do? What? What does it look like? I can't really describe it. It's glowing red. What are we supposed to do? Make sure the site is secure and I'll phone the command post. Sir, I have to go now. One of the guys just got injured. Before I could ask about the injury, he was off the line. I immediately went over to my commander, Lieutenant Fred Maywald, who was on a scheduled sleep period. I woke him and began to brief him about the phone calls and what was going on topside. In the middle of this conversation, we both heard the first alarm klaxon resound through the confined space of the capsule, and both immediately looked over at the panel of annunciator lights at the commander's station. A no-go light and 2 red security lights were lit indicating problems at one of our missile sites.
Oh. Is it running out of thing now? I think it may have done 5,000 words already.
Fred jumped up to query the system to determine the cause of the problem. Before he could do so, another alarm went off at another site, then another and another simultaneously. Within the next few seconds, we had lost 6 to 8 missiles to a no-go, inoperable condition.
That's funny pause there. Maybe it had to send it over the internet. I don't know.
Don't worry about that too much anyway.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was the maximum limit, but no, it's this pause and think and trying to get back to us.
Okay.
After reporting this incident to the command post, I phoned my security guard. He said that the man who had approached the UFO had not been injured seriously but was being evacuated by helicopter to the base. Once topside, I spoke directly with the security guard about the office. He added that the UFO had a red glow and appeared to be saucer-shaped. He repeated that it had been immediately outside the front gate, hovering silently. We sent a security patrol to check our LFS after the shutdown, and they reported sighting another UFO during that patrol. They also lost radio contact with our site immediately after reporting the UFO. When we were relieved by our scheduled replacement crew later that morning, the missiles had still not been brought online by on-site maintenance teams.
That one's got a laser beam coming down though. Oh, that's another one. UFO incidents over Minot Air Force Base, whatever that is.
Minot, yeah.
Tall white aliens. Okay. So it looks like these are related ones.
I was going to tie it in. Apparently that one happened about a week earlier, I think. I'm not quite sure now.
UFOs and NUKES. Seems like that one's a popular one.
Yeah, that's Bob Hastings' work, that.
I was just seeing if you had any pictures of it. What's that one there? And what's this here? Is that security gates or something? Don't know what those are. Kind of strange.
Yeah, they look like the perimeter fences, don't they?
Well, that does there,
Around the base.
but what's this here? Looks like train track signals or something. I don't know. Kind of weird.
I don't know what it is.
Don't think we've got any drawings or pictures of it. What's this one here? What's that one there? That one looks interesting. Can't quite read it. Above, vehicle appeared. Let's see, can't see. Oh, very bad font, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's related to it or not. The US Air Force Base, I'm not sure where that one is. Can't quite read out there. Can't see if I can get that closer. Because they must have got some pictures of it, surely. Blue-green glow stands out along the lower sky. What is it though? I wonder what the case that one is. Let's just open it up maybe. See what it says there.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, I am. Are you watching YouTube or are you watching this directly? Maybe it's a bit slow for you.
I'm watching it directly, yeah.
It sounds like it's a wee bit 10 seconds behind. Well, maybe not that bad, a couple of seconds behind. What's that say there?
I don't know, just hover the mouse over.
Declassified US government's documents and military veterans have confirmed repeated UFO intrusions at American nuclear weapons sites decade after decade. Declassified Soviet documents and former Soviet army personnel refer that such incidents occurred. Looks like it got chopped off here. In former USSR. Okay, during September 2010 UFOS and NUKES press conference in Washington DC, retired Air Force Colonel James Holt discussed one such incident.
Charles Holt. Yeah, Charles Holt is the guy from Rendlesham Forest, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's actually you there. Ben Swartz, yeah.
It says down there, policeman. There he is. But yeah, that's the one you mentioned. But we're looking at ones before then. Looks like Bent Waters was mentioned a bit in this one. The latest irritation may be found in the hoax currently being perpetrated by Anthony Sanchez, related to his alleged interview with a mystery Colonel X. The assertion is that this anomalous person worked at an underground alien base at Dulce. Sanchez first marketed the story in the form of an ebook and now selling it in print form. As proof of the existence of Colonel X, he included a copy of the officer's redacted DD-214 service record in both publications, claiming he acquired it via a Freedom of Information request to the National Military Personal Records. A copy of the claimed DD-214 was later sent to the NPRC, and they deemed it bogus. However, it seems Sanchez has made other unsupported statements about his alleged communications with the Record Center. I'm not too sure who that is. I don't remember Colonel X, maybe because it was a fake Now, this is a problem with the UFO field. There's all these...
Doty's involved there and Benowitz. Do you know what I mean? I don't know where we're going on this one.
Yeah, you see what I mean, though. There's all this information that we're getting all the time.
Yeah.
So that's a better image. But
what do you make of that then?
Could be anything, really, couldn't it? Unless we've got a video, an actual video to look at. It does look like a flying top of some sort, doesn't it? But see how it sort of changes shape. So obviously these are from different videos, is it? So I don't know. Enhancement showed unusual patterns in the upper energy field. So, you know, it could be anyone that's making that up. Well, there wasn't really much there, was there? What's that one there? Seen in Stedford film. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff to go through to work out what's real and what's BS out there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we better get back to the story. I was just looking for any pictures of this sighting, but obviously no one thought about getting out a camera at Air Force Base. Kind of strange though, you'd think they would have lots of cameras at an Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Well, even launch a aircraft and they would have camera pod cameras and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, close that one down.
I can understand bases, you know, high security, and they wouldn't want every Tom, Dick and Harry taking pictures, would they?
No, but I mean, the Air Force Base and the tower itself would have like a camera with a telephoto that they could, you know, if they saw...
these people under about 30 feet of concrete, weren't they? You know, so
I'm sure they must have had a telephone, like an intercom between the surface and command tower.
Of course they did. That's how they were alerted to the event.
Yeah, they wouldn't be. No, they would be on telephone, but I'm pretty sure they'd have some sort of video interface. Surely, you know, if someone rings the doorbell at a solo at the top, you want to see who it is. And
no, it was a telephone call. That's how they knew there was something up there.
Yeah, I thought they would have had like a video telephone thing.
You would have thought so in 1967, yes.
So, where do we get to on this? Down to here, I think. Shut down investigation. That'll probably be a bit more interesting. Let's see if I can read it all out. What's going on here? It's got that stupid super soon. Let's see what happens.
When we were relieved by our scheduled replacement crew later that morning, the missiles had still not been brought online by on-site maintenance teams. Again, UFOS had been sighted by security personnel at or about the time Minuteman's strategic missiles shut down.
Here we got the pause. Is it taking each space as a pause, maybe? Or a tab character? Must be, eh? Must be tab characters, yeah. Probably 40 of them.
THE investigation and in-depth post-incident investigation of the E-flight incident was undertaken. Full-scale on-site and laboratory tests at the Boeing Company's Seattle plant were conducted. Declassified strategic missile wing documents and interviews with ex-Boeing engineers who conducted tests following the E-flight incident investigation confirmed that no cause for the missile shutdowns was ever found. Robert Kaminsky was the Boeing Company engineering team leader for this investigation. Kaminsky stated that after all tests were done, there were no significant failures.
Got pauses or tabs and
engineering data or findings that would explain how 10 missiles were knocked off alert, and there was no technical explanation that could explain the event. The most that could be done was to reproduce the effects by introducing a 10-volt pulse onto a data line. Another Boeing company engineer on the team, Robert Tshirt, came up with this pulse that repeated the shutdown effects 80% of the time, but only when directly injected at the logic coupler. No explanation could be found for a source of such a pulse or noise occurring in the field and getting inside the shielded missile system equipment. Others on the engineering team checked other possibilities. Lightning and problems in the commercial power system were acquitted as the source of the problem. William Dutton, another Boeing company engineer, checked commercial power interruptions and transients, and stated, no anomalies were found in this area. Several military activities and other engineering firms participated in the investigation, but no positive cause for the shutdowns was ever found, despite extensive and concentrated effort. One conclusion was that the only way a pulse or noise could be sent in from outside the shielded system was through an electromagnetic pulse, EMP, from an unknown source. The technology of the day made generating an EMP of sufficient magnitude to enter the shielded system a very difficult proposition, requiring large, heavy, bulky equipment. The source of the actual pulse that caused the missile shutdowns remains a mystery to this day.
So UFO would have the energy to be able to create an EM directed pulse.
Interesting, eh?
But why would they know sending a pulse would shut it down? Maybe they're hoping to destroy it, not shut it down, you know what I mean?
I don't know, because it happened too many times and none of them were ever destroyed. There was never any damage done to the computer systems, to my knowledge.
Other sightings. So how much we got here? Suppose we better wrap up soon. Was there any other links that you wanted to post on this one?
No, not really. That's both of them pretty much covered, because I've got someone coming back with the dog soon, and he's staying for coffee. So I'll need to get off shortly.
Okay.
I've got a bit of time.
Other sightings according to articles from the Great Falls Tribune newspaper, on February 8, 1967, Louis de Leon saw two strange objects in the sky which did not look like airplanes, and they glowed in orange and red color while driving east of Chester, Montana. Later, 10 miles east of Chester, Jake Walkman was awakened by a bright light at his home. From his backyard he sighted a flying saucer-shaped object. The next evening, George Kawanishi, a foreman for the Great Northern Railroad, saw a bright ball of light in the sky directly above the Chester train depot. These are but a few of the sightings which preceded the missile shutdown incidents later in March. It was during the same period, according to Colonel Don Crawford, a SAFRET, that a two-person SAT, assigned to Echo Flight, was performing a routine check of the missile launch facilities a few miles north of Lewistown, Montana. As they approached one of the launch facilities, an astonishing sight caused the driver to slam on his brakes. Stunned in amazement, they watched as, about 300 feet ahead, a very large glowing object hovered silently directly over the launch facility. One of them picked up his VHF and microphone and called then Captain Don Crawford, who was the TMCCC on duty that evening. "Sir, you wouldn't believe what I'm looking at," he said. He described what they were seeing. Crawford didn't believe him at first, but the young airman insisted he was telling the truth, his voice revealing his emotional state. Eventually Crawford took him seriously enough to call the command post to report it. The officer on duty at the command post refused to accept the report and simply stated, "We no longer record those kinds of reports," indicating he didn't want to hear about the UFO. Crawford, unsure of what to tell his shaken security guard, decided to give the guard his permission to fire his weapon at the object if it seemed hostile. "Thanks, sir, but I really don't think it would do any good."
What I find interesting, though, is if this happened in 64, you'd think they'd be setting up cameras and everything.
Which one was 67, wasn't it?
67. You think by then, the future ones that happened, like Bent Waters, that it would have cameras everywhere to try and capture.
Bent Waters was 1980, wasn't it? So that's moving on a good time.
Yeah, so they would have had security cameras all set up around these bases, ready to catch these UFOs on video, or have an early warning system set up. if this was happening back in 60s, early 60s.
Well, they must have had closed circuit television, mustn't they?
There must be some video footage of these things. A few seconds later, the object silently flew away. Problem is, if you shoot at a UFO, the bullet might come back at you, bounce back off the field. But apparently, you remember the stories of wartime UFOs? And they reckon they used to fire handheld missiles, or what do you call them, bazookas, or whatever it was, at these UFOs along the river. And basically, the UFOs actually turned the weapons back around
cases like that.
And went back at the ship and blew up the ship and sunk ships and stuff. I remember hearing it on one of the particular TV shows. I can't remember what it was. Hangar 1, maybe, was it?
I think it was.
I think Hangar 1 was a good story on that. So that would be...
And there was one case from the Vietnam War. Was it the Korean War? I think it was the Vietnam War.
Yeah, so it would be good.
Yeah, but that happened. And they identified the missile because they all have serial numbers, don't they?
Yeah.
And they identified the missile was the same missile that had been shot at the UFO.
Yeah. So they're capable of sending new weapons back at you. Means it's definitely not Earth technology, I don't think. Even back in Vietnam, that was 70s.
Yeah, I think it began in like the build-up started around about 1958. So it didn't pull out until about 72.
Yeah. About the time we started heading off to live in New Zealand from the UK. But, yeah, national security. I suppose we could read that out. And that could be it, I suppose. Oh God, there's quite a lot there. Declassified documents there, apparently.
National security during the events of that morning in 1967. Office were cited by security personnel at the Oscar Flight LCC and at 10-Flight LF. And by other security and maintenance personnel at Echo Flight LFS. These sightings were reported separately to the capsule crews at both LCCs at or about the same time Minuteman strategic missiles shut down at both sites. USAF has confirmed that all of Echo Flight's missiles shut down within seconds of each other and that no cause for this could be found. For many years, the Air Force has maintained that no reported UFO incident has ever affected national security. It is established fact that a large number of Air Force personnel reported sighting Office at the time many of our strategic missiles became unlaunchable. The incidents described above clearly had national security implications. In one previously classified message, SAC headquarters described the E-flight incident as loss of strategic alert of all 10 missiles within 10 seconds of each other for no apparent reason and a cause for grave concern. To SAC headquarters. Emphasis ours, there is a great discrepancy between the United States Air Force's public position relative to Office and national security, and the established facts of this case. We hope that the Secretary of the Air Force will search for, declassify, and release all information on this case. Our hope is that public knowledge of this now declassified incident will induce those who were among the security policemen and directly witnessed the Office over the Minuteman facilities, and others with any pertinent information, to come forward and add their stories to those of the missile combat crew officers. We maintain that the American people have the right to know the truth about this and other UFO incidents which affected national security. We welcome information about this or any other military/UFO incident from anyone. Please use the links below.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually found a link on the Black Vault to this case, and there's several pages of information there.
Have you posted
I'll
it?
tell you, but I'll post it down the side.
Yeah. I think we need to maybe try your VPN with the video chat, because it may solve...
Hey, we can try that.
Yeah. It may solve this timing out thing.
Damn it.
But I don't know. I could probably pipe mine through a VPN as well, but that might be bad. I don't know. It's hard to know with this. because at the moment we've got this going down the same pipe as the live stream, and but you're getting the video all right. That's the strange thing. It's just me getting it back from it is the problem.
Yeah.
Which should be plenty of speed. It's the upload speed that's the problem, which is going to you and to Google. It shouldn't be a problem coming back down, which is really strange. But I don't really want to go to Discord because that's even worse, I think. So I think the sound quality's been good here. We won't know until we play it back, of course. So you want to post the link, or have you?
No, I'll do that just now for you, Paul.
Okay.
That's a PDF.
All right. Well, so anyone can access it if they want to as well.
Yeah, of course.
So this ain't particularly fast, you see, if this is going through the VPN side of things. Hey, looks like we might have got another like. Was that you?
You just got, yeah, no, you just got another 2.
Another 2? What? No, another like, which makes it up to 2, yeah. Hasn't updated here yet.
Right, so yeah, it's actually saying 3 for me.
Really? It says 2 here. Okay, what do we got here? 2 soon done. All documents. Okay. So what did Black Bolt say from the summary? Anything?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because it does. If anybody listening, when I get the documents up, if they scroll down to page 32, it's very obvious there that the incident is confirmed. You know, this isn't any kind of like hearsay. The missiles actually did go offline. What they stopped short of saying is how they went offline. Okay. They're not going to actually tell you it was a UFO, are they?
You sound a bit like Metal Mickey at the moment.
Oops.
Not sure what page number we're at. 32. I must have gone past it. It's up here by the corner, I think. Unless it's a PDF 32, I know.
Yeah, you're on 34 there.
Yeah, how do we skip? That one? Right, what's that doing? Making it bigger. I suppose we can zoom in.
You just had to scroll back up to 32.
Oh, here we go. 32, you reckon? I thought you said 32 on the PDF, not the actual what's written on the screen here. So that's saying
top right, I meant.
Yeah, up here is page 32 of 88. 2 different types have been introduced into the squadron. I don't think that's the page you're talking about, though, is it?
No, I don't think it is.
No. You probably read the number up in the corner rather than up here.
I did.
So, maybe I was right before with 10. Let's go back to 10. 34. 32, is it? 33.
Yeah.
This is 32. Up here. Project Hell Now. The testing of Mark 5 re-entry vehicles by higher HQs.
Yeah.
Doesn't talk about going offline though. I don't think that's the page either.
Oh God, doesn't look like it.
Oh, too late.
I've skimmed through them all, but yeah, I'm not sure where exactly it was.
What's this one here? The steady light was not observed to illuminate for any of the 10 launch facilities, none of the command And status line, monitor fault lines were illuminated. There was no pattern to our sequence, so it must be there.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Echo was approached in 4 ways. Really want a summary, don't you? This is a problem with Freedom of Information documents.
We don't work that way.
It goes on a wee bit. So here's probably the layout of the circuits, is it? Power distribution. I bet it's all different now, though.
Yeah.
They've probably got their own petrol generators as well, right? Yeah. This is pretty people that want to go over everything in a fine toothbrush. It's not really my cup of tea going through all these documents, reading. I don't like reading at the best of the time because of the floaters on my eyes.
Yeah. Well, it can be hard work.
Oh, yeah.
But we kind of leave that to people like John Greenwald, don't we? And then we get a summary off him, and so it saves our legwork.
Yeah, and you'll cut out the key points from the documents. Or just bring up or show you the page, or 1 or 2 pages, which is quite good.
So we must go for a wee again.
You're diabetic. But we should be rounding up now, Robert, shouldn't we? I don't think there's much more I can add to it, apart from looking at Mini-Man. What they mean by it. Minute to minute. A member of class of militant men of America Revolutionary period who volunteered to be ready for service at a minute's notice. Oh, there we go. A type of 3-stage intercontinental ballistic missile, IBCM. So it can obviously go in by that statement that the rocket can be up in the air within a minute's notice. Scary. Also being ready in a minute's notice. Yep. Well, there we go. So Robert was right. So I think we should probably wrap up there anyway.
Okay, Paul.
I just doing a check on the Minuteman, and you were correct. So it's basically that it could be ready in a minute's time. So launch the missile in a minute. So that's pretty scary. But yeah, I think we can wrap it up there for the night. We've got 3 hours, 7 minutes, but believe it or not. And no one's going to listen to us because people generally join the live stream and follow along. But playing it offline, they'd have to play it in chunks probably. If they're interested in UFO stuff. That's what I keep saying to people. No one will watch. You get these people that say no one will watch your live streams because they're too long. Well, but if you do one live stream a week, say Security Team did a 3-hour live stream once a week, right? Everybody would be happy. And they'd probably spend all week watching it, you know. And they had 10 minutes, 15 minutes here and there between their gameplay.
Just bust it up into manageable pieces.
Yeah, because Google keeps track of where you last played, especially if you set up an account. Now, if you don't set up an account, then you might have to bookmark it, wouldn't you? Which you can do. You can actually right-click on a video, right? You can right-click on a video and say copy, and then just paste it in your bookmarks or something. You know, open it up in a tab or whatever. There's another way of doing it.
I'll just write it down how far you've actually gone through.
Yeah, that's the old-fashioned way, or have a notebook, like a...
It's what I'm still doing.
Not a notebook, but actually have it on your desktop as a notepad, you see. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. People either like the UFO topic or not, and... yeah, complaining to me just goes through one ear and out the other. I said, well, if you're interested in the UFO topic, you'll be watching. Because we do, in the process, cover it pretty deeply. And we also find other connections like we did tonight with all the other cases.
Yep.
Just searching through the images, we saw the other one there that was mentioned.
Yeah. Then people have got their own research then to carry on with in their own time.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's all about what research is all about, isn't it? So you could spend hours and hours going through all this because we've read it in time, right? And then you got to summarize it into a 10-minute episode for people. You sort of got to miss out a lot of information. So, yeah, pros and cons, you know. But anyway, we'll wrap up now, Robert, and
okay.
Let Google process it. You can drop off if you want to, and I'll just shut down.
Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, bye. And I'll just switch the screen here and kick off the... Hopefully kick it off. The end credits. Live from New Zealand. Please like and share. And come back Sunday night if you're in America, because we've got some interesting stuff to cover.